Howdy, howdy. Welcome back to Oversight Week 5, fans and lovers everywhere. It is good to see you again. The first finals of a week here in the new 2023 year. And we have a special treat for all of y'all at home. It ain't just me this time around. I, of course, am back again, but I've got this lovely, wonderful lady to do this alongside me all night long. 6 games of action. It's Spider Tiff.
You know, Zephyr, we were talking just before this broadcast, and now it all makes sense. I was like, I want Zephyr to give the most elusive introduction for both of us, and wow, I could have never done better. But what's up, guys? Yes, Week 5 finals underway. Spider Tiff here alongside Zephyr, who is gonna bring you all the action, right? And everything that we get to experience here tonight. We have some amazing teams, 10 of which qualified through the qualifiers that happened yesterday, and then 10, of course, that finished in the top 10 from the Week 4 finals. But I look at this list, Zephyr, and there are some names that are going to stand out to me, some teams that you may not be familiar with in chat tonight. We got Aim Assist. Look, that's going to be Designful rounding up that. They qualified through the qualifiers yesterday, but are there any names that kind of stand out to you here today?
Well, I will say, outside of Aim Assist kind of being more of a new force here recently, these are all names that have existed here in North America across our entire swath of the Pro League split. And something that I actually am really excited about is here tonight, out of the 10 teams that are making their way to the playoffs at London, we have 9 of them, almost half of our lobby, the only one not participating being that of NRG. So some of the highest caliber of North American talent is here.
Well, I mean, what a better night for us then, right? We get to sit here and watch all of the amazing action unfold, and I couldn't be more excited. There are a couple teams that I can't wait to dive into more in particular. We have a lot of teams like Tripods, right? Yes. Top 3 in week number 4, and I'm kind of excited to see what they bring. We know that Nick has been looking for nukes lately, and hopefully he can find some nukes of his own tonight into Apex. Maybe a little bit different, but it'll be fun, right? And then we have ESA, of course. They won the regional finals in ALGS most recently, but they may be playing with a different third. So kind of curious to see how a lot of that turns out tonight.
Yeah, and a couple other shifts here and there. You know, the usual drill when it comes to Oversight. What I personally, narratively, am most interested in seeing tonight is there has been a whole swath of practice, especially for some of these teams on a completely different level when it comes to these international scrims. They've had the chance to compete these last 2 days, literally almost half of our lobby here. And now we go into what was yesterday, teams like Complexity, MPS, Counter Logic Gaming, squads that aren't on their way to playoffs, who had a remarkable performance. They're going into the same situation, these same teams who have had an elevated situation here. And I'm very curious to see how that kind of meshes as we get into some of our first games, and obviously the night as a whole.
The night as a whole, and I feel like the only thing you didn't mention was the TSM team that we were talking about just before the broadcast. I feel like Zephyr jumped aboard the TSM bandwagon for the first time. He was like dancing, screaming, yelling about their performance in international scrims today in Verhul. So we have the #1 Verhul span on the broadcast here, no bias intended. But let's do a little bit of housekeeping, guys. If you're new to the Hyperlux Oversight series tonight, Week 5 finals underway, $5,000 prizing. That will be split between the top 4 teams, with the lion's share of that going to first place, $2,300. And with that being said, you know, we have a lot of these weekly. It's super cool, but the playoffs are coming down to the wire. End of this month, we will have a $20,000 playoff. So these are important times when you want to boost your weekly point standing. And Zephyr and I were looking at the top 20, and there's a team, Oxygen, not in the top 20. So that was a really interesting point, right? It was a different roster for the first couple of weeks, and now the former Atlanta Premier, you know, HEC boys are under that banner. So they have their work cut out for them tonight.
I was about to say, it's a completely different situation here now,
right,
for quote-unquote Oxygen, right, on their way forward. And the nice thing about their current standing in Oversight as a whole is I think they're only, what, like 2 or 3 points behind being in a qualifying position for playoffs. We've got 2 weeks of play tonight as well as next week, where you'll be seeing Tiffany again, where they will have the opportunity to likely kind of rack that one back up. And granted, I think they are more than capable of doing so, and obviously we'll definitely be saying hello to them once again. But who knows? There's a lot of talent. There's no guarantee. 2 weeks isn't a lot of play. That's like, what, 12 games? That is less than 13.
Yeah, it's kind of less than 13. Zephyr's math never seems to fail me here. But yeah, tonight we're going to have 6 games. We're going to be kicking it off on World's Edge for the first 3 maps, then jumping on over to Storm Point, which was the exact same format as you saw yesterday during the qualifiers that Juka and Andrew were casting. So it's going to be a really fun, interesting night. I believe Complexity finished in 2nd overall yesterday, and I always keep an eye on them. They're one of my favorite teams to watch. Typically, if you want an idea on where the zone is rotating, they're one of the quickest rotating teams in North America, and if no one evicts them from their god spot early, I think they're going to do really great here tonight.
We'll see. I temper my expectations with Complexity. Obviously, there's a whole spectrum of talent that exists with Complexity. I think last night's showing was the best Complexity that we've had the opportunity to see in a long time. It was something that a lot of people were really questioning. Why wasn't this the roster that showed up on the hunt for playoffs in ALGS? And now, granted, going into this following night, literally right one after another, they could definitely be on that kind of hot streak with that tempo to push them forward as well. But who knows? Obviously, they finished actually first coming out of those qualifiers. So they're definitely more than talented to get the job done here tonight. But as I've made mention of many times before, and I will continue to do so, it's a different caliber.
Ooh, I mean, that's what I'm here for. Look, I like to look at the first game as that info gearing game, like what's going to actually happen, how the night's going to unfold, and who's going to get that early game momentum, early series momentum. And that's just kind of how I feel like I'm just ready to see what is going to happen. We got World's Edge for map number 1, and the chaos is going to ensue. You've been watching a lot of the international scrims, and some things have been happening. And even just yesterday in the qualifiers, we saw some more Wraith. We saw some more Caustic, specifically around CLG, because Albrelelli kind of stepping in. Demi's not on that team. And I think Alb himself is actually IGLing the CLG team. So it's been an interesting dynamic for me. A lot of different roster changes have been happening. I know Slurp is actually, you know, currently on FaZe, going to be subbing in on the Elevate roster. So I'll be excited to see a little momentum shifts on some of these teams.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, especially going into some of their final moments, not only here today, but for the split of Oversight as a whole, as everyone also is kind of just adjusting. This is a window of time here for a lot of these teams who obviously didn't make it to playoffs to start to find potentially some new tempo on what will be their readdressing of this going into split 2. So it's not just this whole narrative that we bring up with internationals going to London and whatnot. There's a lot of teams who are trying to figure out what works and what doesn't before they reapproach the further competitive season. That's what Complexity is all about, or my apologies, that's what Oversight is all about. Okay, I mean, it is a source of high quality practice and scrims for these teams that they don't get to have in a lot of situations, and it's something that you definitely can take your notes from, right home about, especially as we make our way through these next few months. 'Cause that's what it's going to be. I feel like it's what, almost 2 months till next split. Oh my.
I mean, look, you could say 2 months, but I feel like it's going to be here tomorrow. I feel like it's going to be here tomorrow. It's kind of crazy that we have to wait, but luckily we do have Oversight weekly. We have some playoffs at the end of this month. So a lot of really exciting action to hold you over until Split 1 playoffs. It's kind of like, you know, a sister thing. They run alongside each other. They get to do all their reps here. And you're right, you can test some new things out. You can implement, you know, trial players. I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing here and now. And for those teams that are already kind of established and looking to find themselves a new org, another great place to get your reps and experience in. And I know we don't really get to talk about this enough, but I feel like I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Tripods, right? I feel like they are putting in the work and improving. And since they finished top 3 in week 4, I would love to see them kind of double down and finish in the top 5 at least again here this week.
I agree completely. I think the nicest thing about Tripods is they took a lot of the speculation about that roster from the very get-go of what was August 2022, and they basically kind of turned that in its head. Was it a team that rocketed through the standings and are now on their way to London? No. But was it a team that was forced to ante up and put out results that were potentially above the expectations and caliber that everyone set out for them? Yes. And they did that excellently. And the fact is they continue to improve as these weeks go on. And I obviously love it just as much as you. I know between the two of us, both of us, big secret Nick Merckx fans behind the scenes. But still, it is an enjoyable thing.
I was gonna say, don't tell people who I watch at night when I'm trying to study
because
rotations.
Guess what? Someone
Don't
was
tell
picking
people.
on me just maybe 10 minutes ago. Which, by the way, I want to say TSM was crazy today, guys. I'm talking to you. No, not you as in tip, but you as in you at home. If you didn't catch international scrims today, I'm just going to bring up one statistic, and it's going to make you go, oh. TSM, out of the 9 50-50 contests off drop, the 9 of them in their 12 games, they won every single one. 3 against KCP, 3 against Invictus Gaming, 3 against Kick, 2 separate regions, 1 dominant roster. That's why I'm on the TSM bandwagon tonight. I'm not usually. Don't get it twisted. There will be another night that I am not anymore. But tonight, I am.
Not biased, not in the slightest bit biased. We are not allowed to be biased here.
Oh, yeah.
The stats do not lie.
Tonight.
The stats do not lie. Let it be known. My wise friend Gaskin once said, the stats do not lie. Okay, so that is what we're going to be looking here tonight. If anyone dares to challenge TSM off drop, please know that they have an extensive amount of experience today in scrims, and they will annihilate you. And I know RKN tweeted himself kind of that video, the meme of Verhols that cracked me up. So I just had to give a shout out to that. You know, it really does look like Verholst out there just like hitting the moves so now, yeah.
I feel like on a good day I could get confused with Verholst. If I was really careful about it and your glasses were off. And if I was
just pick up a roller, it's fine. Find yourself
it's easy. I can get yelled at too, guys.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You know what? Just hit your shots, all right? Don't miss, Zephyr. It's fine. Just make sure you win your ones, get your knocks. Right. You've got this. But for real.
Yeah. I will say, we do talk a lot about international scrims, some of these teams today. That's a very valid point, though. The fact that was 12 games today. We're starting for some of these teams game 13. And I know some of these guys are marathon warriors when it comes to Apex, but there's a whole different swath of endurance that comes along with going through that. I mean, I knew how it felt. I watched all of those games earlier today. I'm potentially tired as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point. You know, there is a little bit of mental fatigue to remain at that height of the competitive nature, but there's money on the line tonight, and I feel these teams are ready to show out. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that we have waited and kind of memed long enough. Game number 1 is going to be underway shortly. We will be dropping into World's Edge for our first of 6 games, and we get a little bit of that character selection screen, which always makes me happy. Luminosity going down there. They've definitely got the Gibby Horizon Valk, which is exactly what I would expect of them, staying consistent. I don't really see anything outstanding, you know, that would be of a change. CLG still going for that Wraith, Caustic, Mad Maggie. And speaking of them, we get to jump on board with them first and this circle. Okay, well, good GG's to the guys who land Skyhook. Tripods, 100 Thieves, let's go.
All right. Well, as our drop ship makes its way through here, we'll see how these teams adjust to each other off of obviously that first game information. This is where you get the best impression of what's going to happen alongside some of these newer pairings when it comes to your call outs and your hot zones here. I will say I do find it fascinating that CLG are working with this roster. It's the one that seems to be the most unique out of everything we saw in terms of legend selection here. It's not new. I mean, we made mention of it before we actually got into this game today. It is a composition that was played by Aurora in the EMEA circuit back when they were Team Empire and had major success. So we'll see how Alb and crew make that one work here. For now, Frag, a bit of contest.
Hey, if you're going to have a contest, I would not want to go up against bots when they are feeling themselves. I feel like this is a moment that could be a shining star for them. We always talk about JQ, just an absolute menace. But the issue here is I haven't seen anything lately that has been like, okay, I can stand by this. You get Stompus taking a lot of damage and unfortunately going to fall. And that's going to be Phony taking him down. So ESA in the mix.
But on the other end here, Cody is down as well here. And Luda not looking much better themselves. Now, granted, they've already found quite a bit of return here on the opposite end against the bots. Recovery on the door. This might be the perfect opportunity. Luda obviously going for the slow heals there. Phony actually taking the brunt of that damage, losing on the shield, but there's going to be that stick on the revive. Cody coming up back. That's going to spell potential defeat here for this roster.
Yeah, we had some conversation on who was going to be that sub on ESA. Cody was their named sub. I was like, hey, is Kim going to step in for them? That's their coach over at ESA. But good to see Cody kind of making their way and winning that first contest. Gotta feel good. So some good momentum and some nice KP going their way. They can loot up and kind of go on their rotation. They're already center of map, so not bad at all. And I want to give a shout out to Tripods. I mentioned, hey, they usually go Skyhook. Well, Xset takes Trials and Skyhook West. So Tripods actually made their way over to Big Mod, and it looks like we've got some spice over here at Climatizer. That's going to be BR Demons, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And Lou stepping in on that team as well.
Okay, Sentinel's brother in arms here. We'll see how he performs alongside these boys tonight. Obviously, you've got that exhibit down in play already. That's preventing Furia from making more aggressive moves into this building, and hopefully gives BR the setup they need to find cracks like that and potentially the knocks as well. It's so close for Reeds here. The 301 turned right back around. Micro drones drop onto the roof, but that loses Lou in the process. Reeds is as low as it gets, sitting at just a tick of health here. It's up to Vayne to finish the job, and even still, he can't quite do it.
That was a really close fight, though. Zera able to deal the finishing blow, and now the reset comes in, and I don't see any teams in a nearby distance, but you do see about 500 meters away, so they'll be relatively safe. There's going to be no issue. I have no anticipation that they can just go ahead, gear up, and continue their merry way. You know, Furia wants to keep up that aggression, so they're going to look for that. But Space Station setting up here in the tower on the outskirts of Trials, and 100 Thieves will have the ability to kind of look down upon them. But I'm assuming that if Space Station is setting up on that, they're going to assume that the ring is going to pull just north up that way.
Yeah, just to kind of go over it here really simply, since we are seeing some of these contests. There it is, your ring. A little bit of a mix, actually, but still very deep towards that western end, much past Lava Fissure and Countdown, which is why we see such a heavy investment by so many of these teams actually out towards that western train line. Yes, there is always still that opportunity for a slight pull back in towards Countdown, but expect that little bit of a valley that you get in between Trials and some of the no-name mountains there, where we could potentially see this zone end. For now, though, we've still got a plethora of teams, even some stuck on the outskirts of zone here as this begins to close in. Hopefully E8, not one of them.
Yeah, you can see they're very aware that the Tripods are still in that building, but they're trying to stay ahead of them. Tripods crafting up and getting ready, but it looks like CLG and Dark Zero may potentially get into a little scuffle here during their rotation, which, hey, I would love to see a nice 3v3 fight between CLG and Dark Zero, because, look, if Alb is going to be the IGL, this gives him more experience in that realm, right? We had that conversation when he was on FaZe before they had kind of disbanded with him, and he joined CLG to see if that's a good fit for them. It's like, hey, you have to get your reps in, because to be fair, IGLing is not for the faint of heart, right? It is tough, and I don't think people give enough appreciation to it. Like, to be fair, when I play with friends, and granted, I'm not at this level, I never want to IGL. Not even in pubs, not even in my ranked games, bro. I'll be like, nah, you do it.
No, can't relate. Can't relate. My ego takes me far too far. Either way, I will say we begin to see some of these teams on their way forward here. We did get to take a little peek at Dark Zero, and for anyone who's been asking who that sub is, yes, it is PvPX. Minus Tempo made sure of that at this point. Now everyone knows that's the third for the time being. Either way, big EMP out here from RKN. Obviously, just big damage to work with for now. No push to follow suit.
Yeah, you just got to farm your shield at that point. If you're going to be sitting there with your blue shield, you want to make sure you're going in towards that end game with at least a purple. But TSM, coming off the backs of some really impressive international scrim games, are wanting to carry that aggression. You can see the Howl on Mad Maggie, which I actually like this for him, right? I feel as if he does need a character that has some kind of momentum, which is why I think if he's going to play Mad Maggie to try it out, sure, you've got the Wrecking Ball for the speed boost, and this is going to be against Oxygen, and I'm really excited to see this former ATC go up, but how with all that damage to open up the fight, not bad.
Verholst on the off angle here, looking for some entry damage as well to find that second break of the shield, potentially to continue pushing this one forward. A single member caught on the outside here. This Valkyrie beamed and reamed enemy already down, completely wiped. A shield swap available for TSM and Oxygen. Well, no face against all. They run for the hills, but they are picked off one by one.
Look, I would love to hear the conversation that went on by putting Verholst on Blood, and you got reps on Caustic. I actually want, can they just switch around, maybe make a round robin of it? I want to see reps on a movement character. I know that he played in like a tournament outside of ALGS at one point where he played, I think it was Horizon, and fried. So let me experience that. But Furia, it looks like Dark Zero getting into a little scuffle with the CLG boys. This is that moment that I was like, hey, I wanted to see this fight, and Dark Zero undergoing a lot of damage trying to reset.
Well, it looks like they've already found an initial knock and one more onto Alb there. One last standing member here below for Dark Zero to finish off. PvPX isn't looking too hot, though, and Sharky is potentially no better now dropping down. Actually, officially, oh, it's not a 1v1. Instead, it's a third party. Luminosity arriving to fight against these two squads and pick off their last remaining members. Dark Zero out, and now potentially, yes, CLG as well.
All right, Luminosity doing what they do best. I feel like they are so, like, okay, all right, get sniped, why don't you? Not gonna have a clean reset there. Sentinels and Furia getting a little scuffle over here at Survey Camp, which it looks like Furia has the better positioning for this fight as they can play these rocks in the roof of this building. Zera throwing out the black hole, coupled with a plethora of thermites and 3 arc stars to boot, so watch out, and you can see they're just burning.
Ooh. Let's take a listen to Furia and see how they approach this fight.
The bang is low on the back end. He ran out. He's running towards the other team.
I'm just swapping guns real quick.
Crack Horizon. Horizon died.
Did he kill one on the winning team?
Yeah, he did. He did. Yes.
So he pushed the winning team?
Yeah, I'm with you. 45 blue. Cracked. I cracked one. I'm nading that. I'm pushing up.
I'm shooting them there.
I'm down to 20 bullets of heavy on both ends. Someone can quickly.
I'm inside. He's on me inside.
Careful, we don't want to do too much.
Two on me. Fuck me. That was 90. Clutch.
Good nade.
Play your life.
I'm backing up a little bit there.
Yeah, he's pushing.
Yeah, Sears
I'm
8.
on him back.
He's low.
There's one.
You're right.
Back up there. 1 HP. Healing. Nice. Just play reset, please. I want to
rezzing
from here.
Can you res him around the corner? Grab his banner, we're gone. I have
to grab your loot.
They have 2 knocks in there. Can we just fight that?
Maybe.
I have to run. I might die. Try to wipe that Zera.
Traded. They res, bro.
We're just dead in here.
It's FaZe. These guys are so stupid.
All said and done for our boys on Furia, even with a quick call out in the end there. And it is at the final moments we see Senox and everyone walk in and pick up the spoils of the war.
It didn't seem like his Watson was kind of that surprised by it as well. He's like, this is going to happen. If I go in there, I'm dead. Like, this is how it's going to play out. And that exactly, you know, little mind reader, you just know what you're doing. Imagine pro players know what's going to happen if they make a move. I'm not shocked, but hey, you got Sentinels. It's interesting to see Aiden the Destroyer over there kind of subbing in for that. And I feel like this may be the Sentinels roster going forward, but I don't think it has ever formally been announced yet. So I'm all ears to see if this is actually going to work out or if they're still kind of trying Aiden out. But hey, if you can win a fight or a third party, it's great. That's how you keep up that momentum moving forward. Now they've got to make their way to that next zone, and looks like 100 Thieves, Space Station just kind of waiting, biding their time patiently. You got 100 Thieves, obviously Scurry on the Loba, so they're going to be kitted out for loot. You got the gold bag. Aye, okay.
Hey, it's something to keep them all healthy there. More additional resources for Scurry as they will be forced to drop at some point. We look towards those zones, especially the teams that currently hold a nice position. It's actually Karasuno of all squads that has kind of one of those dominant building god spots to potentially work with. For now, though, Sentinels, FaZe, Tripods, many of these squads all on their way in. Sentinels here stuck in Skyhook for now. Granted, it is incredibly early, only round 2. You will expend a few medkits, but obviously with so many teams already set up where you can see Complexity, Xset, and 100 Thieves, you have to wonder what choices they'll make to extend themselves in the future.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye. See ESA still kind of nestled on the outskirts of the ring by Countdown. You've got the aim assist boys on the south side, a Lava Fisher, and Sentinels and Tripods might be getting into a little bit of an entanglement over there on the Skyhook on the outskirts. So let's jump into that fight. Senox, G7 Scout laying some initial damage, and that's some good groundwork, but not really closing the distance and getting up close into that fight just yet. But Aiden able to grab a knock onto Gent, so they do have a nice opening there.
Valkyrie deploy across here for Senox. Isn't going to be able to stand out much more in the open there. Gent is fully thirsted as Crust takes this position instead to find shots in return for now. For Sentinels, this is just slowly a little bit of zone control. Ebb and flow push their way further and forward into one of these buildings ahead. For Tripods, they've managed to claim themselves a spot, at least on the edge of zone here. But can they defend? I don't know. Sen coming in quick from behind may spell otherwise.
You know, I like the aggression, right? If you are feeling confident in what you got. Okay, look, I say I like the aggression, and then Crush just gets absolutely decimated. I'm not going to say it's a curse by any means, and yeah, you're able to eliminate them. It wasn't as clean as maybe I would have liked it to be, but you got the job done. But what it's going to do, it's going to open the door for Complexity. You hear their neighbors that are in a bit of a fight right now, and now you have to fend off Complexity.
Coming in as 3 here. The numbers advantage already in their favor. And even if there's a rotation in favor of Sen for the further future, they haven't been able to pick the revive back up. And it's very likely that this full thirst takes place and Complexity find their success. Still, though, on this low ground, can't quite eclipse the height that has been provided in return. But it's only a matter of time, Tiff.
Only a matter of time indeed, but hey, I mean, you got Monsoon, aka Monternal, for the evening. I love when players like to shake up their names and kind of keep us on our toes, right? But, you know, going over there didn't really provide any fruitful KP. Senox able to grab the res onto Crust, so they're trying to stabilize a little bit over there, and now we'll be kind of curious to see what is going to be their next game plan. I mean, 12 squads remaining, so they're making it towards that mid game now, but you don't have any KP just yet. And that is one of the things, if you're going to play zone, I feel like it's nice if you have the ability to capitalize and maybe pick up 1 or 2. And as you can see, just taking that high ground is going to be nice, but it's not going to really do too much yet.
I will say Complexity have already set themselves up for this further zone. They've got that castle wall down and are liking this position, hopefully to defend against what could be this next assault from Sentinels. Those scans will give them away for the time being, but this is still dominant spot. I don't think it's great for the further push when we start talking about round 4 and this extension, but for now, this could be potentially their next move. Sen on their way out, and Complexity are set up with X set above with 100 Thieves, my apologies, finding their shots.
Look, they have the Jenny up, so that's going to help against any nades. I don't think Sentinels was going to be able to break through that barricade. Anytime I see a Newcastle wall kind of bunkering the team into a corner, if they don't have the Watts and Jenny available, I feel like it's just like 3 frag grenades away from just utter chaos. And they're doing just great, but now they're going to have to get above that fence and into the open. And if you've got Vaxlon on top of a mountain with a charge rifle, you're going to have a tough time, right?
Oh, my apologies. Aim assist here on their way out. Eliminated in 11. That's finally taking us down to our halfway point in terms of our teams remaining. For a squad like Luminosity, haven't made much of a move since the last time we saw them, taking out what was the remnants of Dark Zero and CLG towards the south side here of Fissure. Finally, they do start to eclipse this kind of open-ended area, that valley you see off the cusp of Trials that we talked about very early in the game. Still a heavy distance away. It might be a redeploy angle here. We'll have to see.
Very interesting. How do you feel about the Bruiser on the Wingman for you personally? I feel like I see a lot of people in EMEA run the Bruiser on the Wingman, but I prefer like a Digi-Threat or a Red Dot. But hey, if your shot's hit and you can do it, I'd love to see that. But Complexity able to get down on the outskirts of Trials relatively free. Didn't take too much damage. You can see Lux going to go ahead and pop that ultimate accelerant, so they will have a Jenny just available to them should they need it off screen. Looks like we've got Nocturnal falling. Hopefully they're going to be able to get a nice reset over there, but Complexity on their merry way, just trying to become the mountain goats they are.
It looks like off of that redeploy, Xset tried to take the entrance on the opposite side of Trials, and quickly are they punished by, yes, SSG, who set up here incredibly early on. TSM rotating from behind to find even their own kills on this late redeploy here. For TSM, that's a source of something to start with, but they got to be careful from behind. We just saw Complexity shore up into that spot that, yes, I guess they also redeploy. They're over as well. There's Luminosity's redeploy. Everyone is flying into these corners here and is just being punished by both SSG and TSM.
Yeah, but SSG overextending too much into the open, trying to control the space over here and not let up on it. They do have the Jenny available to them, so Frex is able to really get back up to speed. And Complexity, they had the Newcastle wall. They coupled it with that kind of mobile shield as well. And the Watson fences, they put the Jenny up instantly. So they're trying to stabilize, but they only have that rock available to them. And just everyone is going to keep peppering them. So this is going to be immensely hard to hold.
Oh, it was rough when I saw it last time. It's not just Vaxlon, Onmu as well here. Meanwhile, for TSM, they slip around the side. A quick swing to put themselves directly in the face of Luminosity. It's a single drop on the Jaguares on the opposite side. A multi-team effort to take this squad out. Still, though, big questions regarding what lies in store on this next zone close. So many squads coming through from the southern end to compete, and SSG and Complexity toe-to-toe.
I mean, you've got SSG looking to int upon Complexity, and that's going to be all they wrote. We knew that was going to be incredibly challenging to hold, but now you've opened the door. You've already had Zen dropped, so now Dropped and Frex need to stabilize, but I don't think they're going to be able to get the reds, because when TSM is looking for that blood in the water, you know they're aggressive. They want to clean it up and find that, and SSG now out in 6th place. We have 5 squads remaining, and TSM hardly took any damage on that third party.
And now they have the dominant god spot for the end of this zone. No one in a position like theirs. Meanwhile, everyone else towards this south side, you can see the remnants of ESA, 100 Thieves, in the guard as full rosters trying to slowly kind of inch towards this position that TSM currently holding. One singular rat of Shubi Tubi hiding in the crevices that exist here towards the Wall of Trials.
Look, I mean, they're going to hop on their little iPad there, trying to put the drone into the sky, and Shubi Tubi is not safe here. If there's I mean, we're in like a freaking scan meta, bro, and Vaxlon has a Kraber, so this is going to be absolutely scary, holding the high ground with the Kraber. 5 bullets to spare, so we just got to see as they drop down. Here comes the chaos.
EMP already utilized, and they might, yes, find Shubi Tubi hidden from below, but he does get that drop onto Vaxlon, and this could pay the price against 100 Thieves as a result. Onmu stuck down with only 2 his health there in a fight actually breaking out between the guard and ESA. ESA going to be pinned as a result, but not before guard losing out on Keon. The only squad in full force being that of TSM.
I've been watching a lot of the guard lately, and I feel as if Keon has been going out early, but now with 3 squads remaining and Verhol's forced to kind of take a bat and reset. I love trying to control the space with those Nox gas traps. Now 2 squads remaining. This is all TSM all day.
Easy to swing forward here and find the first win of the day out of game 1. They can do it in international scrims. They can more as well do it here in Oversight.
Zephyr, I feel like this is exactly what you wanted to see.
This is what I wanted.
I mean, this is what you wanted, right?
Needed.
Like,
this isn't even the comp that they ran this morning. Do you know how good they are? Do you know how good they have to be to do something like that? Where's the horizon? Where's the other things? It doesn't matter in the face of a TSM day, okay?
Look, some days it's the guard days, some days it's complexity days. Today is a TSM day through and through. They don't care that they've already played 12 games of competitive Apex at a high level. They're looking for more.
Oh my gosh, Sharon. There's a swath of fights that we got to see on all angles of these zones here. It felt like the fighting truly never stopped. It's honestly hard to say who comes out even close to what we saw out of TSM. Obviously, we got to tune into this fight with Fury here, capitalized on by the remnants of Sentinels, who even they struggled to make it further into the endgame.
Yeah, and this Sentinels right here, as soon as Crust got knocked immediately, I thought it was going to be all like tripods. I thought Gent and Deeds were going to be able to clutch that up. But hey, Sentinels pulled it out of the hat. Complexity was trying to get into the mix. And here's that. They waited. They bided their times. They just were like, hey, if you're going to rotate in on me, we have the setup kitted and ready. But it was that ult, that repositioning here and trying to hold this rock with the Newcastle wall. And it was just honestly painful to watch.
And it's a shame that we see SSG make the same move to finish the job here on Complexity, which, funny enough, didn't even start by them. It was an X-set rotation followed by Complexity on their own moves, and then finished off by SSG, who lost a position that was just so good that TSM swoop in and then just carry that to a simple victory. We get to take a look at our scoreboard here with 9 kills, the most in the game, and a win on their belt. TSM finish off with 21 overall.
I mean, that's not bad at all. I mean, they had a 34-point game in scrims today, and it was like at one point they were like, can we ease up? And it was like Reps was, I think, was like, no, we're going to keep going. This is fun, all right? So W for them. They're feeling confident. The guard coming in second place, 7 eliminations of their own with that 7 placement points. So 14 tied with 100 Thieves in third, but it's ESA. You know, I was really shocked. I was curious to see how that was going to go underway for them, but a top 5 in the first game, not bad at all, but still incredibly close. And it's nice to see Furia there in 6th place tied with Space Station, considering how early on that went out. That shows you time and time again, eliminations in the early to mid game are so incredibly fruitful. I would rather see you have 6 eliminations and go out maybe in 10th or 11th place than, you know, go the distance and get 3rd place with like 1 or 2 eliminations.
Yeah. And it shares the same fate for teams like Luminosity as well. Maybe not the best of placements, but definitely a high source of kills that definitely put them on the board. But I'll tell you what, Tiff, that's just the first game of the night. We've still got 5 more headed your way here. When we come back from our break, we'll be taking you back to World's Edge for Game 2. Stick around. ESA going to be pinned as a result, but not before Guard losing on Keon. The only squad in full force being that of TSM.
I've been watching a lot of the Guard lately, and I feel as if Keon has been going out early, but now with 3 squads remaining and Verhol's forced to kind of take a bat and reset. I love trying to control the space with those Nox gas traps. Now 2 squads remaining. This is all TSM all day.
Easy to swing forward here and find the first win of the day out of Game 1. They can do it in international scrims. They can more as well.
There they go. Just like that. Aim assist about to go down, though.
No, it's not over yet. 2 players left.
Dang, Shiny putting in some work there for the team. And it does look like OXG got one back up.
This is the craziest endgame I have ever seen, that we still have 3 teams left and no team is fully committing to the other one. And here we go with some actual commitment. There's going to be someone that dies right now, and it is Complexity. So it is aim assist versus OXG for a very unlikely endgame finish.
Maybe. No.
The 2-11 and the swing to clean it up. Aim assist with the Game 5 win. Aim assist were in the best spot to win that game, but they almost didn't.
I thought...
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Oversight Week 5 Finals. It's Zephyr, it's Spider Tiff. We just had an epic match 1 there on World's Edge with TSM taking God Spot early and just bringing all the chaos that I thought they were going to do. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say I should say Zephyr. Zephyr thought, Zephyr was right, Zephyr was correct. Hi, Zephyr.
It's not a unusual thing to find that the greatness of my analysis births predictions before they even happen, but I suppose just once or twice. It's a new thing. It's your debut here. Who would have even thought? Okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That was terrible.
It's fine. It's fine. Like, you catch me so off guard 90% of the time. And I feel like when I watch you and I watch Dia alongside you, it's just fun, right? And I just feel like I need like a leash just to keep you in check sometimes. Just a little bit, just a small one. It's fine. But I mean, what an epic game. We got to witness just how well they finished off. I believe it was what, 24 points there, Zephyr. And we're not going to look at an overall leaderboard. We'll see that after game number 2, which will be underway shortly. But I'm excited to see. We saw ESA top 5, so I think they're going to have a strong consistency here today. But for the teams that we saw kind of go out relatively early, what do we think that they're going to change up, if anything? I'm looking at Furia, right? They knew the call. Really? They knew what was going to happen. Do you think that they'll make some changes going into game number 2 and maybe not push into that? I mean, ratting's not very that fun either, so I don't blame his Watson for just kind of sending it.
I was about to say, there was a situation where they were already kind of pigeonholed into potentially pushing that forward because they had lost out on one, and they already knew there was a double knock in there. And if you're not going to be progressing past these teams that are going to come in and swoop in like Sentinels and finish the job, I mean, might as well go for that final KP and then find yourself cleaned up like dirt. Now, obviously, there's always smarter choices for any team to be making here in Apex Legends. That's, I mean, part of the game. You can have fantastic first place finishes from TSM and they can find their way out in 20th in that very next game here. So I know Furia is a team who has the caliber to perform better. It's just been something that I think not only here in Oversight, but across the entire North American circuit in the last kind of month or so, we've all really just been waiting for.
Hey, there's a lot of things that I'm waiting for, and you know what I'm specifically waiting for? Game number 2, will TSM run it back, continue their dominance off rip? And I'm excited to see that, but game 2 will be underway shortly. We're going back into World's Edge character selection where we can witness all the crazy things that we're gonna see. Will TSM continue that Mad Maggie caustic bloodhound rip? I think that was really interesting, and honestly, they were very comfortable with it, and I can't remember a time where I've seen Hal play Mad Maggie. I think he was playing Bangalore the other day, running around in ranked, and I thought that was unique. I was like, bro, I haven't seen Hal on Bangalore like in a while.
Hey, I mean, anything goes when it comes to potentially trying out these new strategies in the face of what could be London, whether it be a simple group stage strategy, map specific, or even potentially match point based gameplay, right? We talk about this composition between things like that caustic Mad Maggie into the Bloodhound. It is something that garners you a lot of space and zone control. And if you actually get towards a central position, you can last into the end game and then create momentum, just like we saw at the very end of game 1 there. They saw SSG move, they took that entire height away from them, and then nobody could walk freely into that zone. Obviously, lots of pressure going around from all these teams here, but it makes it harder when you're running a composition like that. So I know it's just one game, and I know I'm the fanboy of TSM today, but I am curious to see more.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that. I mean, look, you've got a nice northeastern zone this time, so it looks like we're just going to double down, keep those zones on the north side of World's Edge, which, I mean, I'm just thinking sweet in the back of my mind telling me there's no southwestern zones, no thermal station zones, nothing to help them. And I was like, when I was looking at Countdown, I was like, yo, the zone is kind of over in this area. I feel like they would have had a nice rotation straight up, and I'm like, bro, you're not here tonight, bro. So you can't say anything. Of course.
Didn't qualify. You just shush up. No, I'm kidding.
It's fine.
I will say the big thing to take note of is right off the bat, the immediate contests are not instantaneous this time. It isn't right off a drop, so teams are definitely getting more wise to their situations and what they are able to secure. Notably, it's here between bots and ESA that I look at directly. What was last time that Western frag building that they fought, no longer the case, so definitely going to be more secured. I question potentially the interactions now between teams like Dark Zero and Complexity, because naturally they will move up.
I like it though. Like maybe find some guns that you feel a little more confident with off rip. Sometimes you land on a car SMG and an R301, and other times you're like, I have a Mozambique and a Hemlock. And yeah, of course the Hemlock's gonna deal significant damage, but I'd rather have that auto AR there. But the guard over here near this construction building zipping to the top, they already have 2 blues and a white shield, which is really nice off rip for them.
I'm surprised to see the speed at which we're seeing so many teams kind of push themselves into the fragment area here. Now, obviously, none of it is particularly picked over, so there's definitely a plethora of time for even squads like the Guard to get themselves situated. But you can even see, there it is, the starting of the shots that might end up with our first teams eliminated. Might actually be over here, though, with SSG right alongside Main Reeds and Lou here, the opposite end.
Yeah, I'm just watching them rotate in. Vayne on the Watson. You've got the little scanner right there, and that brings me so much joy. I didn't realize the rare animation where she brings out the Nessie when she tries to whip out the heirloom, and honestly, super excited there. Just a little off kilter. It was adorable. So Vayne, thank you so much for playing, Watson. You're making my heart happy right now. And speaking of Zephyr's heart, it's going to be a TSM DZ 3v3 isolated fight, and that Mad Maggie drill charge is going to go out early. I don't think it connected to too much, but here goes the caustic ult.
Look at this from Hal. The off angle already secured. We know they're nowhere close to a good set of sustain. Reps with that first knock. Hal to finish two. And Dark Zero, just as they arrive, they are quickly eliminated. But from behind, notice who takes down Reps. It's Abralele with that riot drill of his own. It's up to the former man himself now to defend 2v. It's almost an identical composition. And Nox gas grenade provided in response as well. Can TSM survive? It's unlikely.
They know exactly who's rolling up on them just because CLG right now is the only Wraith in the lobby. TSM going to fall, and Alb, that was a good call to go ahead and capitalize on that third party. The timing on it was impeccable for them, but I cannot imagine that Hal is having a good time right now. I don't even want to think about it.
Hey, you come off with a great tempo in that first game, and you say, we're just going to send it, ego check these DZ boys. And the sad thing is, we kind of set it up. Frag in this entire area had been just a cesspool of so many squads, and it doesn't end here. Look at this, CLG, and now Oxygen coming in to potentially start this fight off as well. Let's take a listen in.
Nice. Swing hill.
He's one. Maggie's one.
I'm gonna throw a nade in.
Yeah, I'm doing 5 minutes. I have a nade upstairs, get in. I'm waiting for my door. Go in him.
He fucking Maggie balled me. I'm alive though.
I keep right. Push up. On the team.
Can we get inside?
Yeah. Right to fire. Take one. One guy to port.
Oh my god.
Body inside.
I got the guy.
Bruh.
Oh!
I banged him towards the other team, so we're good right now.
Can I hit port?
Yeah, hit port. You're good. You're on top.
Okay.
I thought that was Kase dropped on me, so I was so fucking confused with how he ported.
Ooh, complexity out too. Between Furia and the guard.
Oh, still shots. Well, it looks like for Oxygen, they come up on top of this fight in particular. Isn't quite the wipe that we were expecting. You can see Nano over there on the side of the train line. But in other news, complexity to fall as well.
Yeah, it looks like Furia and the guard combo were kind of the nail in their coffin, but Luminosity over here in Lava City holding high ground as well, just kind of nestled in on the outskirts of the ring. Definitely some fun moments here, and honestly I'm excited to see how this works. Like, typically I feel like they have that caustic Gibby Valk combo, but Yanya on horizon with a little bit of movement for him, and we know how much of a menace Yanya can be, so excited to see kind of how they navigate the mid-game terrain. But a lot of teams kind of collapsing on each other just on the outskirts of Climatizer. We saw the zone pulling more and more northeast, so I'd imagine with the guard already kind of being set up here, I'd imagine the ring is going to end relatively close to around the guard.
Yeah, notice how we see a high dominant preferential towards the eastern side of Climatizer in this section of the bridge here. And most notably, what kind of gives me my further impression, where we see bots down there in that building alone, likely to be that kind of eastern pull. We haven't gotten the opportunity to see the map, but for now, we'll take our time. You can see Slurpee on alone already eliminated in what looks like in full thirst here as Luminosity actually sent their way back into the zone after what was likely catching something off with the, I assume, the scans there in the sky from Nizel.
Yeah, we know that Elevate was kind of in this tunnel on the outskirts, probably going to rotate through this and go on out. It looks like Presley was able to hit the skyward dive and make their way out barely. No shield, just maybe 25 HP and a dream. Thankfully, they're not landing on anyone in particular, but still on the outskirts of the ring, trying to make their way. Not sure if they're going to be able to get a syringe off or if they're just going to meet their fate and enjoy the lobby, but Luminosity chilling.
We finally get to take a look at the map here, and this one is over towards that eastern side of Climatizer. It does still look like it's going to be kind of pulling towards hard preference on the outskirts of Clima, so potentially expect those buildings in play, but given how many teams are setting up towards this ridgeline, I wonder how much that is true. I personally, when it comes to zones like this, really do like the height that this provides for currently the guard and sentinels and how you can sometimes transition that to a winning spot or utilize it in your end games.
Ooh, you see X-Set hitting the skyward dive and landing in the center of practically everyone. So everyone's going to want a piece of the pie to poke and prod. You can see Gold Shield on X-Set. They always have the nice. And Karasuno right here on the outskirts, but you're right, above them. They've got the guard. You've got sentinels. You are going to be in a world of hurts if you cannot control that space. Luckily, they do kind of have those containers to be able to hide behind the Watts and defense it up. But the guard near center of that next zone really holding this bridge very nicely.
Doing a great job. It doesn't look like they're able to secure at least some of those initial kind of drops off of that X-Set rotation, but that doesn't matter. What matters is right here, a Tripods oxygen contest in Geyser. It looks like that Rolling Thunder coming down, likely to maybe give Tripods the opportunity to find their way out, or what could have been Crook trying to get some of that early damage. What I'm curious about is Luminosity is also nearby. You have to be careful on how you take this fight. We saw a third party earlier and how it punished TSM. Something very similar can happen here as well.
Hey, look, you've got Crook with a digi threat on Bangalore. Now is going to be able to just be an absolute demon here to the Tripods. Going to hit the Geyser, maybe reposition. You're going to have the information with that Valk passive, so now you get a little bit of the highlighted. But moving to the north side of Geyser is probably a smart call, that they are going to have to hold them. I'm not sure they're going to let up on this fight, but I feel as if you're going to continue this, it's going to be very drawn out because Luminosity already heard the shots, wants a piece of it. The exhibit's already out. And then look to your north. You've got aim assist. They're coming in like, hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, guys.
Hey.
I heard you guys were having a little Geyser showdown here, and it doesn't seem like anything too impactful will take place. But the big question is, 10 seconds to go, Zona closing. All of these squads have to make their way forward to a more secure position because, albeit it isn't too painful, we know, especially for teams like Luminosity, they've already expended a lot of resources playing in the zone when they went up against E8.
Yeah, that's a big item to note. I feel like a lot of these teams, while they may be late to that next zone, the issue is you're not going to get there with a bunch of heals and a bunch of nades. You always wish you had more grenades getting to that end game, but Yanya just closing the distance and putting a nice pull on to Dead, dropping down, looking to finish it off. Meanwhile, X-Set going to fall as well.
Looks like for Deeds, he's able to survive for now. Presley returning to the mix with damage of his own. Once again, E8 is here in the face of Luminosity. We'll see if he can potentially run Rat or away, but instead, he takes the brunt of this kind of damage and is finally picked off by the squad who started it all.
Hey, look, they were looking for E8 that entire time and finally able to put the finishing touches into them. But now they're all going to have to begin that rotation up towards Climatizer, which is already fully inhabited. And it's going to be really interesting because there's a lot of open ground in the hilly areas that surrounds this POI. So it's going to be tough, right? If you have to walk up into this and you've got Oxygen and Aim Assist kind of collapsing on the southern right-hand side, but you've got Deeds still alive, still well, trying to just... You know, don't look at Fraggies right now. Just leave him alone.
I'm surprised he's allowed to survive here. I'm surprised no one puts the hammer down. Potentially we'll see that 1v1 of the Rats as Nano comes out from that west fragment end. But who knows? Oxygen with their own movement here, finally actually cresting upon this slight height out of Epicenter. It's actually going to garner them a position not into just this zone, but also the next one as well. We did get a little peek of that final position. It's got a bit of that half and half split of Eastern Climatizer as well as some of the forward positions out of it. I put my preference towards POI Direct here, especially the height that you can play off of that route for those late rotating squads when we talk Zone 5 and further. But I'll tell you what, that's something I can say in just one breath, but it'll take place far longer and far further into our game.
Look, I don't think this has been talked about enough. We're looking at Oxygen here, and it's just a complete different story. You know, the former HEC roster previously, then Atlanta Premier. It looks totally different. Typically, you look at this team and you see the legend composition. It's a Watson. It's a Crypto. No. Hill doesn't have any movement, but Hill... You know, he had leg day today, and now he's playing Bangalore, so I'm not... Or, I mean, I lied. He's on Valk, so there's movement there for him. It's Crook who's on Bangalore. He used to be their Gibby player, and I'm just like, bro, this is a different Oxygen. I don't know what's happening, and I'm glad that we get to see it here. I mean, it's a new year. It's 2023 now. They're going to LAN, ALGS Split 1 playoffs. They've got a new org. It's new time.
Different Oxygen, same Hill, enemy and Crook here. They'll be pressured back for now with the defensive bombardment ticking down, but they send themselves right back into the face of the zone. They know they've actually caught one of Luminosity's members completely alone to the edge, but Jaguarez with the 30-30 in response finds Nox onto Hill. This might be an opening that Luminosity need, especially with as Crook as low as he is. An enemy, not the best of anchors right now. It's going to be tough.
Ooh. Very tough as well. I mean, look, you're able to grab some shots, but no meaningful damage is going to be rewarded from this. And unfortunately, you're going to take more than you're dealing. And Yanya and Jaguars are pretty healthy, but then you look to the north and you see MPS. And if Shuby Tubi is coming your way, hey, get out. There's smoke involved. And we know that Shuby Tubi at one point was the best Bangalore, probably still is. Sorry, Shiv. It's the last Bangalore
don't say that.
Standing.
Look, you can't pin Shiv like that. Not on this stream here. How dare you? For now,
we love Shiv.
I'll tell you what, it may not be the best bang I'm talking about, but Pow Pow on this Newcastle here might not be breaking with the legend, but that charge rifle provides all the damage in the world. Crook is down here at the hands of Shuby Tubi, and it looks like the bleed out from the zone finishes off Oxygen, and guess what? That allows Luminosity to swoop in as well.
I mean, they are doing everything that they need to do, and I still, like, it's so interesting to see Shuby on the Valk, but he has made such great strides playing Valk when he got signed and moved on to MPS, so love that for him. Unfortunately, Matt is going to fall, and Pow Pow taking significant damage. Now Shuby, last one alive, but he's got the RE45, and I feel like we've been in this position before.
Yes! Shuby Tubi with the RE45, finding it a 1v2 situation into the face of a dome there. Pulls it off against all odds. MPS, they continue to live on. Meanwhile, our rats are picked off across the map. We have to say farewell to CLG and Tripods, respectively.
I mean, dude, you put an RE45 in Shuby's hands, you know exactly what the outcome is going to be, and it is going to be what we just witnessed, hands down. That is every time. It's Shuby, it's RE45, it's just demon time at that point. But ESA with some nice positioning on the left side of the ring, like right in the epicenter. But check that next zone, the guard taking to the sky. They're going to be challenging Karasuno with Furia in the mix as well, and 100 Thieves on the outskirts on that northwestern side. So Sentinels still holding that high ground by the bridge are going to find themselves sandwiched by a plethora of teams.
I'll tell you what, though, a squad that I want to talk about, Furia. Furia, this is their drop. They've been here since the very, very get-go, and they hold the tippity top of Climatizer. I love this roof space here. It transitions so well, especially into the fact that we now see with guarantee that they are going to have end game positioning. It's going to come down to a lot of variables here, but especially when we start looking back over here towards this bridge line with Sentinels, of course, and aim assist and what looks to be the bots as well, all slowly going to be forced to make their way in. That is something that Furia does not have to deal with, and it just means that it looks like late game placement seems to be guaranteed.
This is something that I was kind of questioning and wanting to see the playstyle of the aim assist squad. You got Designful, Funk, and Slayer. This has been relatively new, right? We saw them pop off in the qualifiers just yesterday. They made it to the top 10, advancing to finals here today, finding themselves with top 10 squads, just throwing out all the damage. And as soon as I want to pop off and show them out, they go underway now. You've got only one member last standing, and Crust is going to finesse them.
Hey, but I'll tell you what, it ain't any better for Sentinels here. They themselves defending. I love the rotation from Crust, but with those shots, he gives himself away. ESA swoop in to provide the last remnants of damage as Sen are eliminated in 9th here. Meanwhile, for ESA, fighting out of the edge of zone here, it's a single drop off the RE45, continuing to rip and bean and potentially more here against this bots roster.
Doesn't look like it was the finishing moment for bots, so there's one member left standing that just able to get away. Now ESA trying to kind of regain, maybe reset before they have to get their rotation on, and now it's just an absolute cluster inside the main building. You can see Saucer and Co on the right side kind of collapsing nearby the guard. Furia looks to have the main room in the center. 100 Thieves mountain goat status on the cliffside. I mean, look, anytime I see someone that's just trying to nestle themselves on a cliffside rock, mountain goat.
So I want to make note of this. Furia, they were playing that route, but they're forced to drop off. Why? MPS, late rotation out towards northern angles. They no longer have that height to themselves. Meanwhile, ESA, the beckoning comes for the bots. Bye.
Yep, there you go. Finally putting the nail in the coffin by JQ. Look, these buildings are so incredibly challenging to hold on this north side, but 100 Thieves take a skyward dive, and they're going to land right on to where Furia is. Panders and Zera looking to not actually engage just yet. They just want to be cohabitating just fine. They know they don't need to int on each other just yet because there's so many teams in the nearby vicinity. It's going to essentially be the match that starts the fire. Now 7 squads remaining. We're nearing that end game. We just need to see how they can navigate themselves because next pool is so tough.
Yeah, noticeably between 100 Thieves and Karasuno here, they're the ones that I look at that don't really have a position in zone. The guard will be able to survive, but they're going to have to defend against a drop from Karasuno like this. Keon, Rambo on their edge, but with a knock like that, Karasuno might have just given themselves the opportunity to last. The guard pinned from below, but Karasuno on their own defense. A singularity popped almost immediately. A knock onto Saucer. James Fearless from behind is kicked out of this spot, and ESA take this one away.
We knew that was going to happen. Any little scuffle that started was going to be immediately thirded, and ESA now going to have to get the reset onto Luda before someone else ends on them. But it's going to be BR Demons, Mastiff in hand, trying to kind of capitalize on this. They don't even want Baloo going to fall. Vayne falling as well. Now Reed's the last man standing for the BR Demons. Can we talk about the fact that ESA is able to fend off this third party?
Coming in with not the same amount of members here. Reed's in the zone with a quick shield swap. Takes to the sky, and that will do him justice, keeping him alive for now. The BR Demons, though, they try and play as they might. ESA are quick to recover. They come out on top. Meanwhile, 100 Thieves, a rotation out from below, but they lose out on Onmu, and potentially more now with Furia turning the tail on their end. Vaxlon out as well, and one more to seal their fate in stone here.
This is just absolutely chaos, but Furia still remaining quite healthy despite all the action that's going on. From understanding Madness, a Kraber in play once again. Somehow he just keeps finding them. You know, he's probably just nestled somewhere in a building just trying to find a nice shot, but Aluda able to find Reeds and put the finishing touch into them. BR Demons now out, 4 squads remaining, and Panders trying to heal up before this. Gonna go inside, and nice little smoke to provide some cover there.
100 Thieves are pinned out, down to ESA, MPS, and Furia, your final zone pull. MPS here and ESA have taken the fence line. Furia to lose out on Climatizer. Watch what angles will be provided here from all these squads. They take height at the last minute, but I think it might have just been a little too late. Rolling Thunder available for Panders here to see what pressure he can utilize, but we know there's an interceptor pylon down over by ESA.
That's going to benefit ESA, but what's going to help MPS? We know they have a Kraber, but with Furia closing the distance, you're going to have to hit some crazy shots. The Rolling Thunder is going to come out, so Furia is also going to be stunned just a little bit, and you can see they're focusing MPS. So I feel like if they fully int onto MPS, then this is going to be an ESA victory. So it's all about forcing the other two to fight, but MPS is going for ESA.
ESA and MPS right into the front of each other. ESA completely beamed here, and now Furia, smelling that the fight has already been handed to them, swing behind and finish the job as your second winners of the day.
Look, that was really well played. Furia coming from the building had the upper hand in that scenario, but it's how do you turn the tides and make the other two teams focus their attention so you can just clean it up for an easy victory, and they did just that. And we were talking about it. I was like, what am I going to say? I was like, what do I want to see from, you know, coming from game number 1 to game number 2? It's Furia, and now they're on top. Look, I feel like we're just kind of...
This is weird.
We're matchmaking here. We're finding success. We're getting this. We're calling the future.
We're script writers. It's the truth.
What do we call next?
Either way, for Furia, it's a big win in the end, but several other squads faced strides and tribulations here on their way forward, and surprisingly, the majority of them didn't even make it to that end game. Obviously, Furia, with the early, well, I will say, drop in the Climatizer, lucked out, getting a zone that pulled handsomely to them, but that final moment, I mean, that stands above the rest.
I mean, it did. They played it so incredibly well. They threw the Rolling Thunder. Okay, look, yeah, send it. Can we watch this back again? Because it was absolutely beautiful.
Give us a replay.
That RE45, like, I just feel like when you think of Shubi, you think of Bang, but you also think of the RE45. I feel like you find that in the care package. You're just like, here you go, Shubi. This is your lifeline. You've got this.
I don't think I've ever thought about it before, but now for the future and further, whenever I bring up Shubi Tubi, I will never forget this night. I will say, ESA, high praise to them. We talk a lot about Furia, but there were so many moments there where we saw the rotations very successfully from ESA and that major defense underneath Climatizer that led to their major, at least second place finish going into this game. That didn't or wasn't supposed to happen.
Yo, watching that back, Zephyr, we saw the black hole sucking madness through the fence, just completely throwing that end game for them. But Furia coming out on top in game number 2, 12 placement points for them, 7 eliminations, 19 points. But it's ESA who came out with 11 eliminations, and that was just mindful of them fending off that third party, right? That was just glorious.
Yes, ESA coming through in what was the double. Going on to the guard first to start things off, and then taking out BR Demons on their way to laying stake to that land underneath. MPS to round out your top 3 with 16 points there in their own right. They had their success in what was some earlier rotations, albeit they couldn't quite pull it off in the end.
Hey, but in the end, they made it to the top 3, and all it takes is being consistent throughout 6 games to find yourself in the money. Friendly reminder, $5,000 on the line, $2,300 going to the first place winner. We have finished game number 2. We've had TSM, we've had Furia. The question is, who's going to win that third game on World's Edge? We're going to cut to a quick break. When we come back, game number 3. We've got the RE45, and I feel like we've been in this position before.
Yes! Shubi Tubi with the RE45! Finding it a 1v2 situation into the face of a dome there. Pulls it off against all odds.
Maybe the other two to fight, but MPS is going for ESA.
ESA and MPS right into the front of each other. ESA completely beamed here, and now Furia, smelling that the fight has already been handed to them, swing behind and finish the job as your second winners of the day.
Look, that What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Oversight Week 5 Finals. I'm SpiderTiff. That's Zephyr over there. I'm so sorry. Hey, he was meowing to me off screen. Don't let him fool you. We saw it. He was really excited. But we've had TSM win game number 1. Furia rise to the top in game number 2. The question is, who's going to win map number 3 on World's Edge? Our final map on World's Edge before we jump on over to Storm Point, Zephyr.
I mean, we might as well just pick, because at the end of the day, it's whatever we want to believe here. We'll talk about it in a second. For now, we've got our official leaderboard already updated and ready to go. ESA now in the lead after 2 semi-remarkable performances, especially with the one last game, but it's not by much. There is no real gaps that have formed. We're talking about all odds and evens here between 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Furia, TSM, MPS, respectively, and Garden Hunter Thieves, both 20+ as well.
This is a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, the 1st through 6th place team. So at this point, we're just trying to solidify our top 3, but even down to the top 4 to find themselves in that $5,000 prizing. It could be anyone's game, and it's going to take one solid win out of anyone outside the top 7 to really put themselves in the making. I mean, we saw TSM drop a 34-point game, albeit it was scrims and international. But we know that typically if you have a standout game, it can be north of 20 points, maybe north of 30, and to find yourself taking over that leaderboard depending on how some of our top teams do.
All right, well, with all that being said, we're scriptwriters here, so I want to hear your takes. Who wins? What's the final win of World's Edge here?
This is going to be really challenging because I feel like Oxygen is kind of making their way, but I think CLG can do it. Ooh. I think CLG can do it. That's a hot take, right? I know Alb kind of new to that roster and kind of playing with those boys, but I think they can do it. I think they can do it on World's Edge, especially with Wraith for the micro rotations and kind of making that use of that. It just depends on the calls, right? We don't get to hear the calls, the comms from the players, so we don't really know how they're feeling and how they're playing today. Obviously, guys, just so you guys know, we actually don't hear player comms. We don't know what's going on. The only time we hear them are during listen-ins, friend.
Yes, we do. We're telepathic. We know everything they're thinking. That's how we do our job, okay? We were especially born with Apex Legends in our blood, okay?
But yeah, that's who I've got. That's genuinely, like, I'm barring how they're feeling today, I think that they can put a map win in on World's Edge. How about you?
Okay, I'm looking at, I think, a complexity win. They did great in qualifiers. They've shown up multiple times over the course of this last week, and you know what? I just feel it in my blood.
I like that. I kind of want you to do well as well, because I mean, during ALG Split 1, I had a chance to talk to Monsoon and kind of hear his passion for the game. So I would love to see a complexity W, but also I would love to see a CLG W as well.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, there are some big hitters still left to play their own games here as we approach our final moments on World's Edge of the night. Our last game for all these teams to strut their stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see any changes here in the legend composition. So same, but different for the game. It is map number 3. We've already had a TSM win. If you're just joining us, yeah, TSM took home map number 1. Furia took home map number 2. So we're looking for potentially a new winner, or maybe TSM wants to throw down and run it back and be our first double map winner of the evening. Might as well start off strong and consistent here before jumping on over to Storm Point. But our players just landing into their POIs, hunting for those blue shields. They don't want any napkins here.
Okay, well, we'll see how napkin-y they get here in the end. We already have a nice read of our zone. No longer will we address the north whatsoever, down towards the south, and might I add, quite a bit of a split. Some of the only POIs directly in play being that of Harvester in the tree in terms of what might be that poll. Maybe this is that aforementioned rare tree zone here.
Oh,
bit of a mix. Bit of a mix.
Close. I think this is going to be a TSM zone all day. So we were talking, will they be the double winner back? I mean, look, if you're already finding yourself inside that next zone, the issue with it landing so close to the end zone is you don't really have to leave your POI. So you're kind of stuck with the loot unless you navigate just on the outskirts or you fight the people that are vying for a setup there and grabbing all of their resources. So that's what I want to see. But bots, frag, doesn't look like they're going to get into an engagement off rip. That contest kind of, they're just like, hey, we're going to land, grab some weapons, and get our rotation on.
Well, it already has shown the evolution of some of these teams in these simple games themselves and how they have already adjusted to the threats that are prevalent on each POI here. For ESA, coming off of a phenomenal game, now first in our overall leaderboard. Notably, they haven't taken it to bots just yet, but we saw last time with Fragment that there are a plethora of teams, notably Dark Zero here, just across. This time around, not quite as white, and then double blues to work with, but still rotating back towards Harvester.
Yeah, we do know, I believe, CLG lands at Harvester, so they might be in a nearby vicinity, but Dark Zero kind of keeping the momentum moving forward through this choke to the left, hugging the mountains and just trying to keep on their merry way. Like, hey guys, don't look at me, nothing to see here. But hey, they're gonna run right into another team. Sharky finding some initial damage, able to get a crack onto the Valk player in front of them, but not going to, and as I say that, PvP X getting into a little bit of a, you know, skirmish here with that Prowler, just closing the distance, getting right on in there. We know PvPX, there's their coach subbing in for Zero, and you know what? He's really proven his worth here, not gonna lie.
Hey, meanwhile, Sharky on the other side, he takes a bite out of these fishes. Big damage secured here for Dark Zeros. They finish off, sadly, Complexity. Meanwhile, for Oxygen, here comes that third party.
Look, I want to see Oxygen's success as much as every single one of you. Their new legend composition, just the new style of playing for them. I need to reach out to Hill and be like, yo, bro, what is going on?
Awesome.
I love talking to him, right? Like, I'll reach out to him before, like, a major event. I'm like, yo, bro, like, how do you feel about this? And I'm like, you know, I'm a little nervous, right? And then they'll go out and win, like, the next major game that they play or find, like, top 3. And I'm like, dude, what is this? Like, do I need to ask you how you're doing for you to win? Like, is that how this works? But no. I'm telling you, we're script writers, Zephyr.
Well, apparently I'm not here with Complexity. Absolutely shocked into a losing position there. Now, sadly, for Dark Zero, it wasn't particularly the best, at least, outcome from them as well. They're currently at the bottom of our board coming off of our first 2 games. And while, yes, they do pick up those kills, it's nowhere close to the points necessary. And so we will once again see them on Storm Point, and hopefully that's the turnaround that they need.
Well, in the meantime, we'll keep an eye out for CLG and see how they navigate these waters of the last map of World's Edge. But for now, bots finding themselves in a rather precarious situation on the outskirts of Lava Siphon, which we saw the zone pulling towards. And you can see JQ just a little bit further behind the 2 teammates, but on the Valk, I feel like that's rather acceptable. You can kind of play your own life. You have movement available to you. So playing just a little bit separate from the other 2, not a bad call. Still able to find themselves inside a building relatively safe.
Now, I am interested to see how this poll does go, because I don't particularly have strong memories when it comes to POI direct Lava Siphon endings. Now, there is always the opportunity for what I usually view as this kind of ring around Lava Siphon, whether it be starting off to the east, where you have the exit from central Lava Siphon into that cliffside, and how that kind of swings all the way around on the outskirts of launch site into some of those kind of no-name pillars that you could see off in the distance from our free cam right now, all the way on the other side of the additional Southern Valley. That's sometimes where these zones tend to finish out here. So while I definitely think POI direct, get your butt in Lava Siphon, definitely strong. It's height to work with. It's definitely an advantage. I don't think that's where a zone finishes.
Yeah, it's tough because a lot of the zones that I've seen kind of pull towards over where that tunnel is with the vault, and you have to play the open ending, and it's really tough to manage because sometimes the team on the bridge does really well. Sometimes the team that has the high ground on the hill on the left wins, but it's still pulling more closely into the actual POI itself. So, hey, once we kind of get a feel for where it's going, but in the meantime, we've got 100 Thieves, V Tripod, the Seer exhibit already out, Anu falling as well. Now 2v3 because Nick Merckx got the opening blow.
Oh, the opening blow, the final one has already taken place here.
Okay.
100 Thieves.
Tripod fans, stand up in chat. We know you're out there. We know you're excited about that one.
Yo, absolutely deleted. They went negative. We saw them turn to dust in seconds there. You usually worry about teams like Luminosity over there on the edge of launch site, maybe getting a little bit of their own taste of the water here, but they didn't even have the time. There's no chance a third party when a reset like that comes through so quickly. ESA, Sentinels, maybe potentially on the start of their own 3v3.
Yeah, this is really interesting because Tripod's coming into game number 3, currently in 19th place, so they're going to need to fend off and pick up as much KP, but they could be one that has a big game here. But Sentinels, Beast of the Hunt for Crust activated, throwing down some initial damage and has that nice movement capability. Rolling Thunder going out as well, just trying to avoid that enemy seer exhibit and trying to follow the horizon, hitting the grab lift, doing everything that you can, but Aiden taking ultimate high ground. This is beautiful.
Singularity to come out as well here. Get that black hole pull. Meanwhile, Crust will find that additional knock, but Phony gets a return almost immediately. Sunex now with the smokes. This is that chaos to potentially provide. Maybe get a revive off where it can count. Phony, though, beginning to climb. Might want to take this one right up in the face of Aiden, but I'll tell you what, Tiff, this fight is taking a long time.
I mean, this is just going to be a beacon for all the teams that are maybe nearby. Aiden going to fall, gets ultimately punished. Now Senox, at least he was able to stick the res onto Crust, so they're going to have to step up and finish ESA and do it quick.
Sen swooping in here to find that knock onto Luda. One last member up on the high end of this one here for ESA. Another smoke down, potentially to start off what could be maybe a next revive onto Aiden, or just give them their next pull forward here for Phony. Standing like a beacon among the men below. Actually drops off and might be on the escape now. Might realize that he just has to cut his losses.
How are they able to get 2 reses? I mean, you don't really have the capabilities from ESA, but they are getting actual resets on their teammates, which is forcing ESA to have the lower hand in that fight. Now Xset finding team aim assist. Beast of the Hunt once again activated, but this time it's for Funk. I feel like we're just in a simulator here.
It never stops. The action just keeps coming. And for aim assist, that's a big win here. Right into the face of Xset. I would have loved to see how they were set up, especially if they had some sort of high ground advantage there, because it looked like it took place in seconds here. We're going to take a second, pull back. We get a nice read of the zone. It is going to be finding its way out of Lava Siphon direct and even kind of partially playing into launch site. Now, granted, I don't think we're going to see most of these buildings super strong towards our end zone. Maybe out in front where we get that hillside in play. For now, the guard competing.
The guard taking on Karasuno, but just like we said, they're taking them on. Karasuno going to be sent back to the lobby. A lot of these fights, while we did see a drawn out one between Sentinels and ESA, have been relatively quick here in map number 3. They're very aggressive and they're finishing them off. Tripods did the same thing with 100 Thieves. We witnessed it with aim assist and Xset as well. We didn't even get to see the positioning. Xset just kind of showed up and next thing you know, they were eliminated. It's like Thanos is out here snapping his freaking fingers in our lobbies, bro.
We need a new cultural icon of deletion. I think this is the 1000th time.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing it. Marvel.
Not just you.
I know.
Like it held such an impact in the hearts of our generation that when someone gets zapped, we're just like, oh, that was Thanos. Those boys just got snapped, right? And we need someone to eliminate with the same kind of laissez-faire, just absolute destruction, so that I have more to reference. You guys in chat, give us examples of utter destruction in seconds. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we do need more. We do need more. But Sentinels right here, relatively able to get out of that area. Good reset now at the top of Harvester, trying to prevent anybody from rotating nearby them.
Sentinels here, though, they've got good high ground. Zone is closing in, but it looks like they're going to have their options available when it comes to the Harvester POI and starting to kind of make their way down towards that southern leg. It does let aim assist kind of start to, make their way in ever so slightly, but Sen should be able to respond here, even with now Beast of the Hunt coming out.
This is pretty typical. I feel like he hits Beast of the Hunt, gets tagged up, similar to that fight on Skyhook that we witnessed when Crust walked into the building and got tagged up, and now able to get a clean reset, still on the outskirts of the ring, but a Thermite going out. Hopefully we can find some tick damage from that, but Scan in play, not necessarily able to close the distance, just a poke fight between buildings. And I feel like this is going to be a lot of noise getting kind of sucked through the wall. The black hole came out, but not able to result in a knock for any team here.
Dang. So a lot of ultimates expended in this fight here to potentially find just about anything, but nothing quite pinned. Now, granted, Sen could pull back. They could leave this spot available, but they want to take care of business in what exists behind them before starting to make moves forward. And it is time to invest. 1 minute and 40 till this next zone pull, and we both know this one is far down towards the southern angle. Sen, you need to start finishing the job here or just let it go.
Yeah, but Aiden only has one med kit available. They're making a lot of noise. You mentioned they've already invested so much into it. They're gatekeeping a team, but that's not going to prevent them from getting gatekept themselves. They still don't have an initial knock. They're running low. I mean, look at the ammo, bro. He has one med kit, 30 extra light for 2 weapons. This is not a situation that you want to find yourself, and you've got to let your teammates know, maybe, hey, we disengaged.
Maybe it's time to go.
They need the resources. You do need the resources from this team.
You can get the resources, maybe just get them somewhere further out that way. So much of this health is ticked.
Yeah.
And as a result, aim assist, they find this first knock onto Senox. Big breaks to make it 2. Man, why not? Switch it to the Graber. Switch it to the Graber for one final shot. But you know what, Tiff? At the end of it all, I don't think it matters. CLG, they're right here, willing to punish like that.
You've got Mamba dropping Nox gas traps everywhere. I think ESA fully eliminated as well. You can see it on your screen. I should be 13 squads remaining. Aim assist, like, hey, we were getting gate kept. They're just kind of chilling on the upskirts of that tentacle at Harvester. But CLG, I respect that, right? They calmed.
Yes.
Hey, maybe this isn't a good thing to do. We should not gatekeep them. Let's focus on getting to that next zone, positioning there, and maybe gatekeep from that moment.
That is what the decision should have been from Sentinels there, even if it meant playing on train line. And as a result, they lose out such a big swath of what could have been.
Meanwhile, we see that again?
Nice shots.
A little hip fire Kraber action, and we just have to look at it. It's just a little bit of salt in the wound at that point. But hey, I mean, if they can okay, fair enough.
Sugar
fair
in
enough.
my coffee, Tiff.
A little. Okay. I see what kind of person you are, Zephyr. I like that. I like it. A little feisty. But hey, CLG playing train, the train line, like you mentioned that, hey, maybe Sentinels should have done, and CLG doing that. Now aim assist making their rotation just to right where CLG is. We know they have a caustic on their team.
TSM. They're right here as well. And my apologies for interrupting, but all 3 of these squads stacked on top of each other here in the zip line. They're going to run right back into them.
Oh, and TSM says, hey, yo, this is totally fine, but we've got to listen in for TSM. You know you want to hear the hauling. Just kidding. Go, guys.
I'm taking this.
Grab the swap.
I hit him.
What?
Okay.
I can't believe they did that.
I guess an apology's in store. I mean, we're sorry. We never mean
look,
to...
I wasn't serious.
It's you know, it just is a listening, guys, and it has no... We have no impact on whether they die or live. We promise. We promise.
I promise. I promise. I don't know how things are going to work out. We thought it was going to go much differently, but unfortunately, something happened. Now, BR Demons, you're getting a really cool POV from Lou's drone there. We feel like we're kind of in drone wars at this point. And the guard, look at their little setup. Little Happy Watson fences from Keon.
Yes. Happy little Watson fences. Not Keon's, though, it looks like. An opponent left in store from previous fence contingencies here. The guard still, though, more than happy. We'll talk about the zone a little bit. Obviously, it does, like I said earlier, pull away from launch site. It does even, yes, pull away from Lava Siphon, albeit leaving in this building for quite some time for the guard. Now, granted, zone with a little bit of a cusp, I have actually more preferential kind of pacing out towards the launch site side. Right? It's a slight bit of height here, and we don't know how much of the fence line from South Lava Siphon is in yet. It might be a little bit. At that point, it's okay. It's definitely something to work with. But if there ain't much, and especially with that final zone pull, I like that short kind of hill, that sloped angles that you guys get to have if you play from that distance. Meanwhile, though, I'll tell you right now, everyone else is in Lava Siphon, and zones are coming.
Yeah, bots do have the Skyward Dive available to them, and I think it would be really smart for them to go ahead and hit it. Sure, any Skyward Dive post round 4, ring 4 is kind of a flip of a coin, but I think it might be the smart move for them. You can see Furia is making a play for that next ring as well, which means Oxygen, the last man standing in that building, is going to have to do the same as well.
Oh
but
my gosh.
Hey, BR Demons and looks like SSG getting a little wicked down here. Dropped already down. Frexes takes a little bit of damage, and Zen's gonna have to cover fire, but unfortunately, now Zen last standing. This could be the end of SSG here. Finds a knock, but it's not gonna be the end.
Not quite it just yet here for SSG. Meanwhile, fighting taking place all across the map, most notably Luminosity for Zen here. It's a big crack, and one more wingman shot will do it. Make it a headshot, why don't you? BR Demons eliminated, and we pull back towards that launch site area where we see this contest between MPS and Luminosity. Tripods are out, and I believe one last member of Luminosity.
Shubi taking a little bit of damage, forced to kind of back up and reassess, reset, and maybe not peek so much, but Pow Pow does have a Digi threat available in case there's any rogue Bangalores nearby trying to get a little feisty. And a charge rifle. Ooh, I always talk about the charge rifle, man. I love it when it's in my hands and hate it when it's used against me. So unfortunate there, but I like the positioning here. We're talking about the teams that are not on the outskirts of kind of Lava Siphon, but Oxygen taking the rooftop. This is so different for them. Typically, heavy zone team with the Crypto and Watson just staying secure, but I feel like they're playing more aggressive and working towards that, and it's kind of fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely here. Oxygen sliding, dodging, and diving up against what was that EMP, able to survive. Meanwhile, for the bots below in this building, not quite as lucky. JQ and Stompez already pinned Jalone, losing on the shield. And meanwhile, on the south side of the map, Luminosity said and done. Jalone will get this bat off, but now likely forced to rat. It's far too late for recovery.
Ooh, CLG still going strong, kind of getting a nice reset here. They have Mamba able to really throw down some gas traps and kind of control their space in that building, and the drill charge to really punish and force teams to utilize their resources if you can find some nice damage on them, which is going to be really preferential towards that end game. And they don't have too far to go for the next zone, but they have to go into the open. And why did that gas trap just go out so weirdly? I feel like it went so far.
You know, it's strong arms.
God, enemy! Let's go!
Hey, it might be smoky there, but I'll tell you what. Big damage for enemy, making short work of the final member of the bots there. Guard jumping out from this building. This is what I talk about when this area is just so decisively wrong. There's no space, there's no cover, and for a team like Guards, I can't even tell you what's going on. It's confusing, it's smoky, and even Oxygen, they'll pay the same price.
Bro, and it's CLG and SSG just hinting onto Oxygen. Chaos is ensuing here in this open endgame circle. We have 5 squads remaining, and Alvarelli is your kill leader here and taking significant damage. Please don't go. Please don't fall. Get that reset out. You are the last hope for CLG right now.
EA will find their way towards defeat here, and that's at the hands of most notably Shubi, Tubi, CLG paying the same price. This is what I want to look at. This fight right here. Furia, try and take this height away. This is the dominant spot for this endgame, and MPS have been fighting like wolves to hold on to it. Now, I'll tell you what, Furia, they want to take that height back and away, but look at Zone Pull. Zone Pull actually doesn't cater to height. It pulls actually back in towards the valley area. That's why you see Pow Pow on this off rotation with the castle wall, if you're curious.
They're going to have to do some damage, find a nice knock so they can walk in, because that pool is going to be so challenging for them. And SSG has a little bit further to go, but they have these containers here to play off of before they need to move. So it's all about holding on till the end. You can see they're calling out that rock. The question is, who's going to find the success? It takes a little more damage than dealing there, and nice placement of the Jenny to fend off any incoming nades, because we know what nade spams can do. It's just detrimental.
Here's the problem, Furia, their forced rotation leads them closer to SSG than it does to MPS here. It's a good defense with that interceptor pylon, but they slowly inch a tick closer. Frex with that first drop onto Panders, they're gonna need a little bit more if they want to be healthy in their final excursion here up against MPS, and there they'll go, sending it right onto the Furia boys. Big damage coming from all sides, all angles will eliminate Furia here, but the drops to follow suit from MPS. It's not quite Nox just yet, and instead, it's a response from SSG. MPS in the last moment, ditch effort. Madness with a beam of his own, a recovery, and a win here in the end.
Zephyr, I don't really have any words. That was incredibly well played. I loved the int onto Furia to clean that up as quickly as humanly possible, but unfortunately, it was not fast enough, and MPS biding their time on the outskirts. He had Pow Pow with the bow, just finding some damage and some nice shots, but just playing that so patiently, incredibly well, and you can see it just comes out in fruition. Your map 3 winners, MPS. So far, new map winners every game.
Yeah, I'll say that. New map winners every game, but we are starting to see some patterns here. That was Furia up until the end, and while no, they didn't survive past third, they were our winners from last game. So another great showing there. And MPS coming out hot in our last game out towards Climatizer had a remarkable lead as well. So definitely those two teams really setting themselves apart in terms of our pack here today. But I'll tell you what, Tiffany, that's it for World's Edge. Things are beginning to shift. We're taking a trip. We're heading to the Bahamas, or as, well, we call them in Apex, Storm Point.
The Bahamas, aka Storm Point. Well, I'm gonna go shopping, find myself a new beach towel, and go head down to fish farms or maybe Cenote Cave and get a little, a little suntan on. No, I'm just kidding. But this was absolutely beautiful here for SSG. I mean, you've got to be happy with the performance. And honestly, sometimes you just have to make that decision. Do you play for second, pick up that KP as well? Because you already are getting a good chunk of placement points. Let's take a look at the game standings. MPS, first place, 21 points. But here's that differential maker, right? Space Station played for second, took the KP, had 10 eliminations, only, what is that, like 2 or 3 points behind MPS? I'm not going to do math, but look at the difference between third place and first and second.
It is a gap. 9 points difference there with CLG in third. But what I want to look at is Furia. We saw them up until the end, but there was no KP secured. The next nearest team to do that, all the way down in 15th. As a result, Furia, even with a third place finish, ends up tied for 5th against Aim Assist and the Guard. Now, granted, still fantastic that we get to see them macro their way into the end zone, but not quite the high points they need to maybe put themselves up on the board.
Yeah, that's kind of unique, right? We never look at Fury and be like, oh my God, they don't have any eliminations. That's totally out of pocket for them, but it could be because they land so far north and having to make their rotation all the way towards Lava Siphon and just not finding any meaningful fights there. So that could be the issue there.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've got plenty of time to figure things out. We're going to be going towards our break, and when we come back, a new map in store. So grab your sunscreen, grab your towels. We're on our way to Storm Point for Game 4. Stick around. This ticked, and as a result, Aim Assist, they find this first knock onto Senox. Big breaks to make it 2. And why not switch it to the Graber? Switch it to the Graber for one final shot. But, you know, a little bit more if they want to be healthy in their final excursion here up against MPS. And there they'll go, sending it right onto the Furia boys. Big damage coming from all sides. All angles will eliminate Furia here, but the drops to follow suit from MPS. It's not quite Nox just yet, and instead, it's a response from SSG. MPS in the last moment, ditch effort. Madness with a beam of his own, a recovery, and a win here in the end.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Oversight Week 5 Finals. I'm Spider Tiff, that's Zephyr, and we just finished up map number 3 on World's Edge. But before we jump into our games over on Storm Point, let's go ahead and take a look at the leaderboard. We want to see just how map number 3 kind of shook some things up. We were talking about one big game could happen and really do some damage, and it's MPS who finds themselves on the top of the leaderboard by 10 points with 43 total points.
So they usurped the kingdom come of esports arena here, and it's not just them. Even though we kind of chill out and we discuss Fury with no kills coming off of their last game, they are in second place even still after their previous performances in the rest of World's Edge. It's not anything to be super confident with, and they need to still show up and show out, but it keeps them still above the rest of this pack here.
I mean, it's still so incredibly close when you look through 3rd through 6th and even 7th. I feel like 5 points isn't a massive gap to kind of overcome. So you kind of look at the top 10 and you're starting to see some patterns there. CLG rounding out that top 10. They were able to go a little bit further in the distance there in map number 3. And of course, before map number 3, we were like, oh, who do we think could take this win? And I was like, bro, CLG could be going the distance here. They're making smart plays. Unfortunately, just kind of went out a little bit early in that end game. But now on Storm Point, I'm sure we're going to see some legend composition changes. It seems like people are kind of trying to test some things out. If you're going to the Split 1 playoffs, it's really interesting to see kind of what you're kind of cooking up. You know, let them cook, right? Hal on the Mad Maggie for World's Edge. We'll be curious to see what they enact for Storm Point. Raven, the mad scientist he is, I can only imagine what kind of things they're thinking.
I have no idea here, and I'll tell you what, I got all the time in the world to see what TSM were pulling off on Storm Point, but that doesn't matter. They completely changed their composition here today on World's Edge, and I'm very entertained to see if they'll do the same as we start to talk about Storm Point here. And like you said, the same goes for a lot of the rest when it comes to some of these competitive teams that are obviously playing here tonight. But I'll tell you what, Tiff, you're a much better author than I am. I had my sights set on complexity, and I was not quite as lucky. So, you know what? It is what it is, but, you know, we're not all poets.
Look, at least we're not seeing any like oob plays go wrong. I just remember wanting Complexity to do so well in Split 1 and just watching, like, I think it was an NRG hitting an oob play on them, and I just died inside a little bit because it was so sad to watch happen. I mean, great for Energy, loved that for them. I think they got inted on right after, but smart play. It was the only play they had to make at that end game, but man, oh man. But Storm Point, you know, let's talk about that a little bit, right? If we're gonna see some interesting changes, who do you think, I believe you mentioned you even saw Ashe being played today. Some people were kind of changing things up. Do you think we'll see any Ashe? I know Catalyst, I don't think she has necessarily the strongest package for competitive, but it's always kind of thrown in there for those late game rotations or to really deny people that line of sight.
There's so many picks that can be fruitful when it comes to the kind of variety that exists in the current meta of Apex Legends right now. I think teams have grown very comfortable with the dominance that we see out of course, your Horizons and your Seers, your Valkyries, Watsons, right? And even by proxy, we're really starting to see what, I mean, I love crypto really, you know, starting to take a bigger forefront of what is impactful. But that doesn't mean you bring up things like Catalyst, Ashe, Bangalore Bloodhound, that super combo, as it can be impactful in its own right. They're all great potential options, and it really, I will say, comes down to the individual team. So we'll see. We will see. I'll tell you if we look at character select.
I'm sure we will, because I mean, hey, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, map number 4, that first game on Storm Point will be going underway shortly. And hey, I was correct, you know, literally 0.03 seconds. It's that character select. I'm keeping my eyes out. I'm looking at Oxygen, right? They were running Bangalore Blood, but Enemy gonna stay on Bloodhound. They're not changing their composition. They're keeping it. And CLG as well, keeping it exactly the same as World's Edge. Now, where is TSM? Looks relatively the same, except for Hal, I believe, is going to go on to Horizon, which, no surprise there. The verticality on Storm Point is going to provide very fruitful here.
They're actually running Bangalore Bloodhound Horizon going
Wait, who was on Bang? Was it Hal on Bang?
No, Hal on her. Well, okay. Hey, guys, observers, can we see TSM really quick?
I'm just going to see TSM after this, but let's look at the zone. Relatively center. So I believe it's going to be Xset that lands in Cascade. So that'll be a nice zone for them. And let's go ahead and take a look-see. I know we've got aim assist over at Downed Beast. Tripods, don't they land? No, they don't. They land mill, right? Are they going to contest mill?
They still looks like
they're still flying.
They're going for Cenote Cave, and there seems like a lot of presence out here in that distance. We got 3 teams down there between the bots, tripods, and what looks to be one more. Most contests, though, not quite happening, it seems, as we look elsewhere. ESA and tripods in Cenote Cave. That might be the fight to potentially watch out for, and by proxy, bots as well.
That's going to be really interesting. You got Luda used to play on the tripods, now on ESA, contesting the tripods off rip, and doesn't seem that they've engaged just yet, but you've got Phony with a blue shield, Nick Merckx and Gent both on blue shields, so they might have a little bit of the shield advantage in the hands of tripods, but the question is, what did you land on? Luda has a car in his hand already, so you know he's going to be feeling confident regardless of the napkin shield.
Yeah, absolutely. Napkin shield or not, we'll see how they fare. Meanwhile, let's see. ESA, Cody, very, very low, but no recovery taking place whatsoever right now. For now, let's tune in and see what lies in wait from our boys in ESA.
This building, that height of that building actually has all the angles.
Two middle, second floor, and one's height. One's down on the bottom, Luda.
Shit.
Almost got
I'm
the
in a
guy
bad
high.
spot.
They're aping you, Luda, I think.
Yeah, swinging you. You're good.
I'm dead, bro. No.
You're swinging your height.
Aw, dude.
Bro. I'm dead. You can't.
I should just went inside.
Yeah.
A bit of a shame there. We talked about how weak ESA was looking, but we knew this contest was going to happen. One of the first, and I would say the biggest loss for ESA. Kind of felt particularly out of character, but hey, big wins for tripods.
That was really, really tough to watch, and you could see that they kind of knew going into that. You're like, I'm dead. Falls immediately. Cody gets caught out from the back. Nick Merckx finds it down. Like, they just coordinated that so well on the hands of tripods. I would have been, I'm curious to see their POV through that, but Complexity in the guard getting into a little bit early skirmish. You know they're trying to rotate towards that next zone, but I didn't think these two would run into each other, and Shiny does have a full purple shield, but within an inch of their actual white health, trying to hit that med kit. Now Lux and Monsoon trying to provide some damage to go alongside it.
Monsoon there will take a huge chunk of damage in return, and that will pull him away from what was his onslaught of peppering from that distance there. Shiny now obviously back into full force. Will try to angle things out, but I mean, job is done. Rotation has been secured here for the guard, and we'll have to see how they might reapproach this in a second. Ooh, no surprise. CLG also here as well, just a building slightly ahead.
Ooh, but it's going to be TSM and Karasuna that are getting a little mixy here. Typically, if Optic's ever in the lobby, this is where I'll see Skittlecakes vibing out in the fight here, but it's totally different because they didn't qualify here for the finals today, and now it's TSM and Karasuno, and Xset and 100 Thieves off screen getting into a skirmish. We've got two isolated fights, but they're so close to one another.
Xset here already with the double drop found onto Onmu in Vaxlon, and while fun does fall in the end, they are able to sustain recovery. Meanwhile, for this fight between Karasuno and TSM, big flesh on all members of Karasuno as TSM does lose one. Fearless in wave as he might stick that battery out. Fearless in the face of his own interceptor pylon doesn't quite last. Shield swap and they turn right back around. They slap little brother down from the rocks above and say, not today.
I mean, Hal just laying the absolute hammer down right there. They lost Verholst, but able to recover Beacon and double back to go ahead and hit a res off. They have to do this quick. I feel like if you wait any kind of long distance, a lot of those teams that were maybe fighting in a nearby distance, they're going to see this beacon, this res go out, and they're going to be like, hey, you know, it's just on the outskirts of Ring. Let's go ahead and check and see who it is. We know that TSM drops wall. That's kind of their known POI. So maybe they're getting a nice clean reset, but let's go ahead and take a look, see some nice free cam shots. Complexity, CLG, kind of cohabitating here. Complexity looks to be sending in on CLG. They've got the shield advantage and a PK in the hands of Monsoon. Let's see how this is going to go, but they do have the caustic, so they're going to have a little bit of difficulty to breach in late siege. And what?
He gets jumped. Monsoon, shocked with his pants down, still finds a response of over 99. Luxford with the initial drop on the Nano, and, well, tell you what, Abraleli and Mamba follow almost immediately, but that's not it. MPS with Madness already on the forefront here with that bracelet rotation on that Loba. Trying to see if he can pick off angles, but I think the reset has happened. It's too quick. It's too late.
Yeah, they were able to grab some nice shield swaps and worry about their flesh, and they were able to stabilize inside the building, find some nice shots, so at least those are stabilizing shots, but Madness getting a cheeky angle through the window. They have high ground, they have utility available, and they don't have a Jenny up available, if I'm not mistaken yet, but there goes the bracelet to reposition and join up with Shooby Tooby and co, and they're just going to be able to live their best life here. There's no real rush. Don't want to draw too much attention, so they're going to set up shop with that Newcastle wall.
Now, we haven't really had the opportunity to discuss our poll here because it just doesn't seem to slow down. So I'm going to make it quick because it seems like the action never stops.
It's not stopping, Zephyr.
Screw
it's
it.
not.
Screw it. You know, we're back into it. Nizo with the initial drop on the Golden Elevate. We'll see if they can survive. Yanya already on the fastest foot forward here. Look at the wall bounce right into the face of, well, some nice cleanup.
Bro, let me just tell you, Yanya, formerly known as Ganja Man. Everyone always is like, what happened to Ganja Man? What happened? Well, it's Yanya, guys. It is Yanya. We had the opportunity to talk to them at one point on the ALGS broadcast, and listening to how they spoke about the Luminosity roster and how well they work together, it's really nice to hear. They enjoy playing together. They are just having so much fun, and it just really shows in the way they work as a team. And they're just frying out here, just absolutely decimating. Not able to grab a knock from there, anything fruitful, but charge rifle in hand with like 68 bullets. So that's going to be menacing throughout this day.
That's a big knockdown. E8 picked off in the end, shot out of the sky. SSG usurped this position and begin coverage actually quite nicely. Yanya taking the full brunt of that damage. Pinned back for now. SSG not even tickled by the charge rifle that's provided, and instead actually hitting more damage in return here. A big micro drone scan. Frex finally actually taking his own medicine there, but still SSG in the best situation likely.
Zen yeeting out the Rolling Thunder, repositioning, finding someone on the outskirts of the fences, deals some nice punishing damage, but not gonna amount to much, but does have the Digi threat, so even if you try to hide, you cannot hide from Zen. SSG closing the distance, looking to get a little mixy.
I'll tell you what, Luminosity, though, doing a great job. It feels like they're on a wild goose chase right now. Can't quite pin exactly where these boys are for SSG. They rotate back to the building, and Frex is actually right in the face of some damage here, showing up right into the corner for now. Will survive as that Arcstar does force rotation forward. Pots are eliminated. Meanwhile, is dropped. Might live up to the name.
Oh, I feel like he was going for a shield swap there, and he was just 2 seconds too late. Now Zen last alive for Space Station, but it's going to be Luminosity who comes out on top of this, throwing out the smoke for a clean reset. I don't see anyone in the nearby vicinity of Antenna, so they should be relatively okay for the time being. But man, where I thought SSG had the upper hand, Luminosity just played so well.
I'll tell you what, for Luminosity there, a fantastic level of chaos that they provide in the utilization of that Bangalore. So nice. Meanwhile, for MPS, we talk about movement in these buildings. Make it short here. Back on the other angle. It's going to be on the opposite side that Pow Pow at least finishes the job. Complexity doesn't even seem like they get to fight this one out. And now Dark Zero, I think this might be their win here. MPS haven't had time to get their third up.
Yeah, they look like they're just coming in to clean house there. They get the full down, so now it's a 3v2. Arcs are in hand, but not necessarily able to connect. Looks like they're going to come around the backside. Pow Pow able to grab it down onto Sharky. So 2v2, a lot of damage going out. Shields are cracked. This should be a Dark Zero win in this fight, but there's more people here looking to get a little menacing with a nearby charge rifle.
Shooby is down there, and with what looks to be Pow Pow as well. The job is done. Meanwhile, back here towards this god spot that I never get to discuss today, it is Xset who is finally paying the price here. They've already lost out on fun and potentially more, recovering back into the building direct. Syke sticks that battery. Nocturnal with the help of his own. Arc Stars into the smoke will, cause everyone to spread out. But it's no big knock. It's just a big loss here.
Yeah, I mean, there's no nearby beacons. I don't believe they have a Moby in hand. And even if you have the ability to get that Moby down, that sends up the red flag. And dual seer exhibits going out. It's going to be a BR Demons v Tripods, a purely isolated 3v3. All of them have purple. Who is going to get that initial knock to give them the upper hand? It looks like BR Demons taking a lot of damage. Reeds gets cracked, has to kind of force themselves away. Grav lift to heal. I respect it. They're going to take that ultimate high ground and really just heal up before going down.
The nice thing here is BR Demons will always have that available in terms of their next rotation. Cascades is definitely difficult to play into this late, but for the BR Demons with a nice recovery like that, they can make whatever choice they want. You can already see Lou starting to stem that rotation forward. They've opted to say, we know we're going to cover their exit here in a second. Why not put ourselves in potentially a better spot? But I don't know. Reeds and Veins might be saying otherwise.
They're hungry.
They smell it. They want the blood.
I mean, that's what you got to think of, right? You're making it to that mid game, 11 squads remaining. You want to make sure that you're getting as many placement points, but you also want the KP. So taking smart, manageable fights, and TSM on board. Bearholst able to grab a knock onto Sykes. So this could be a nice cleanup for them. There you see it. Oxygen putting the finishing blow. That's going to be all they wrote for Xset. But you know what that means? Oxygen's in a nearby vicinity of TSM. I'm sure Hal realizes that. They just want to stabilize a little bit before they go on the hunt, because they're still on the outskirts of the ring. We get a nice look. Dark Zero in the near center. It's going towards Cascade, so you want to get a building inside there. And I think that was really smart. BR Demons prioritizing their rotation.
We'll see how it holds up in the end game. Most of our teams, though, literally sitting on the outskirts of Edge. Furia gatekeeping Luminosity's rotation in while the Rolling Thunder does come down and provides some level of movement forward here for Luminosity. Those ordinances are just so punishing. A drop down to the low ground, but his Watson and crew don't find the knock. They're going to turn this one right back towards the edge of zone, and right around do they find that RE45, just as nasty as it is. First drop onto Yanya, now potentially more.
I'm going to have nightmares of the sounds of RE45s in the hands of others as Panders just absolutely goes in, making that a clean sweep for Luminosity. But it's Oxygen who wants a piece of this. But Furia, his Watson in particular, didn't really take that much damage during that fight, so not necessarily a huge reset needed to have for them. Hill actually was more damaged than Furia. That Digi threat on the RE45 is going to be the nemesis of Crook as he falls. Hill taking too much damage. Now Enemy, the last one standing at a 1v2 scenario.
Furia here, last member left standing alive. Oxygen, both flesh as well. One more shot will do him in. Oxygen, even with a third, can't finish this one off. We talked about a lack of kills for Furia last time. I think they're showing what they're capable of.
Look, all I'm saying is we knew TSM was so closely running behind Oxygen. The question is, where are they now? They have to be somewhere close by. But as these players are making their way towards the rings, DZ has still been in that next zone, just living their best life. They have a gold shield available to them on the ground. They're just making a nice little home here.
A happy place to call a home in Cascades for now for Dark Zero. They've got themselves that real estate. They're paying a mortgage, and they're not going to let this one go anytime soon. For TSM, they're one of these squads we talk about edge play that were running right up against Oxygen last time we checked. They left to go fight Furious, so this allows TSM to almost have a little bit more free rotations. They've got this squad on height, though. They've got some difficulties here. Nice smoke with the Digi, though. That could give them their access.
Oh, look, I'm not gonna lie. Hal on Bang is interesting to see. I was asking for reps on Horizon to see him with a little bit of movement. He even said it himself in a previous tournament that I think it was Onset and Gaskin dropping the knowledge for. They got to interview reps, and he was like, I love playing Horizon. So to be able to see him here today on Horizon brings me joy. But Hal on Bang, taking a little bit of damage there. Verholz as well. Hal falling. All right, so let's see what happens.
It's Furia right up against them. We know they've got their own site to work with here. This smoke, it does nothing to Furia. They were ready. They're primed. They've been on the hunt now for hours of what it feels like on Storm Point. They make excellent short work of the TSM roster. Hold on to this height and take out their third squad here in the last few minutes.
Dude, do they have two RE45s? Because Panders had one, and now Watson looks like he's got a fresh RE45. So this is just chaos. If you're anyone other than Furia, just please watch out right now. They are on an absolute tangent. They came into map number 4, I believe, 10 points out of the lead in second place. So they are looking to close that gap. They want that $2,300 first place. Or maybe they just want to giga chat it out and assert their dominance. Whichever it is, I'm here for it.
Meanwhile, Sentinels down a little bit further towards the west here. We saw them just moments ago. Funk and the rest of Aim Assist quickly picked off piece by piece. 2 of these kills landing into the hands of Sentinels here. We're down to our final 5. Dark Zero, Furia, Sentinels, and 2 more here. As we do get to see, it looks like BR Demons as well in that original house that they had held out from their early macro rotation. One more team.
Furia with Dark Zero in their sights. There is a team just on the outskirts of this, so I mean, with the way they've been cleaning up fights, though, I anticipate no issues. And as soon as I say that, Panders goes down. Watson takes so much damage and is forced to reposition, but it's Zera who is still on the rooftop getting poked and prodded from all the nearby teams. I think it's smart to disengage, maybe try to play for the res if they're able to get it safely, but I just don't think I'm going to see Dark Zero giving up their positioning for this so early on with 5 squads remaining.
I mean, if there's other squads coming to Cascades, they know they'll finish the job. Sentinels being that one here. The drop back onto Panders for now. A singularity deleted here in the face of Furia, starting to set this one up for their final moments. It almost looks like deja vu. That particular doorway has been hell on earth, but from afar, it's Tripods. Nick Merckx with the triple take drop onto Senox.
Yo, he's been loving the 30-30s, but recently been picking up the triple take, and he has been doing work with it. So I love that for him. And now not able to get the res onto Senox. Aiden giving the comms that there's the team pushing up on the outskirts, but completely gets taken aback from the left side as well. This should be the end of Sentinels. They're just getting poked and prodded from too many directions to be able to, like, save this onslaught.
Senox completely wiped out here. Crust ticking away. They're both trying to stick the batteries where they can. And for Furia, who looked like it was all said and done, they're allowed to survive as a result. But that doesn't change the fact that Dark Zero, Tripods, and BR Demons are the only full 3-man rosters left alive in this lobby.
I mean, Dark Zero has elimination, so they've got KP. They're fully healthy. They are your match point connoisseurs, which you're obviously not playing today. So, but you know they know how to play for a win when able. And oh, is that a little bit of a mobile respawn beacon? I can only imagine who's going to be making their way in. Was it Sentinels?
Furia.
Oh, it's Furia.
Panders. Panders is back. They get this one off last second here. Down through the sky. We know the shots will ring through in through the doorway with one quick punch, and Furia are back in it, baby.
Sentinels, meanwhile, lose out on Crust as Dark Zero leaves their abiding home to kind of pick at Sentinels a little bit more. So one more KP for Dark Zero, and we're still into 5 squads remaining. But I cannot believe they were able to get Panders back. But look at this! Aiden!
No way!
This is not happening. I mean, I guess that it's happening in Cascade because they have these buildings that are open at the top so you can utilize that cover and no one's going to leave their home. But this is just... Oh, that's a dual one! No longer a rat!
Okay, both members back up, but I'll point this out. They don't have the death boxes like Furia did, so they're as weak as it gets. It's a last-ditch effort. Aiden goes down by Gent Senox from his own angle, and it was the hope to keep the dream alive as Sentinels are picked off in 5th.
I mean, Tripods is happy you just essentially fed them a couple KP that they definitely needed finding themselves outside the top 10, and they have high ground right now. And as you look and exhibit out in the distance, they have the essential height and overlooking upon Dark Zero, upon Fury, and I believe it's BR Demons out to the right side trying to play that massive tree.
Yeah, BR Demons on the outside, that stack between Dark Zero and Fury on the opposite building and Tripods with the height building here in Cascades. The pole just on the outskirts, central of the building that we see Dark Zero and Furia. I don't mind BR Demons' position here. It is not bad, especially if we see the scuffle happen between, Dark Zero, Tripods, and Furia first. Dark Zero already happening with their 2 knocks onto Panders and his Watson. One more in the Zera, and they'll do them in, and look who has arrived. It's actually not Tripods. It is BR Demons on their way forward.
I actually really like the addition of Lou onto this team, and I think it's only a matter of time before they start providing those top 3 finishes back to back to back. Vayne, your kill leader in the lobby. Lou with the Kraber in hand misses the hip fire. 3 bullets per se left. 3 squads remaining, and BR Demons so healthy.
It's really just BR Demons versus Tripods at this point. Yes, one last member of Furia left alive in that second floor, but look at the space that Tripods have here.
So much space. So much time. Gent on a beautiful rock, posing, trying to throw some shots down. Doesn't hit any of them, if I'm not mistaken, but it's fine. You've got frag grenades to boot, and you aren't taking any damage. And Nick Mercs with the triple take in hand. We just need to see it connect because it can do some menacing damage. Does get punished a little bit there, and Furia going to fall. So now Dark Zero versus... They're not. My BR Demons versus Tripods. They're going in, Zephyr.
Tripods here with already 2 knocks to work with. They'll make it 1 more on the interior of the second floor. I think it's all said and done, Tiffany. Reeds is stuck. There's nowhere to go in that zone. It's going to hurt a whole lot harder than Tripods.
Nick Mercs throwing the damage, but it's going to be someone else who deals the finishing blow, and Tripods are your map 4 winners. The game number 1 on Storm Point, playing so patient, so well, just kind of picking and prodding at a lot of those teams that had already made their home into Cascades, and I think they played that very nicely, Zephyr.
Absolutely. I think from Tripods there, it was not an explosive game whatsoever. We talked about Furia all game long, and we're going to continue to do so when we take a look at these standings. But for Tripods, they made the decisive action when it counted. I really like to highlight that move in from BR Demons and how quickly Tripods began to take space afterwards there. Now, granted, second place finish for BR Demons is just as good, especially with likely the KP that they have also garnered themselves.
Yeah, they played that so incredibly well. Sometimes the second place with a bunch of elimination points are going to be so much more fruitful than even if you get first. But I do know that Tripods were engaged in a few fights, able to pick up some KP along the way, so not bad at all. But Dark Zero, not necessarily leaving their building too often, but they were able to make it count when they did. But it was trapping Reeds inside this building and able to separate and isolate the BR Demons that I feel as if was the winning hand for Tripods.
Yeah, they did a great job really controlling the zone there in the end. And wow. Surprisingly, albeit we really only talk about that final fight for Tripods, they rack up an equivalent highest kill for this game at 9 alongside their win and alongside both BR Demons and Furia.
I mean, it's definitely not bad. You've got 27 eliminations between the top 3 teams there, and it's just so consistent. Honestly, I'm really impressed with Dark Zero. You got PvPX obviously subbing into the team, but they're not doing like that. They're top 5 right there. They're playing well with PvPX. And now, granted, we know that he's their coach, so obviously he's probably giving them a little bit of information and doing great. I mean, this is to no surprise, but it's Sentinels, right? Doing really well also. And Luminosity, I'm surprised they went out kind of on the south side of the top 10. They've been playing well. Their fights are great. So I I think they have what it takes to finish in those top threes, and that's what I'd like to see in the final 2 games.
Oh, like you said, 2 more games to go. When we come back, we will be addressing, hopefully, that overall leaderboard. And my biggest questions definitely reside with where we talk about when we look towards MPS and a few other squads. Didn't really show up in this last game. Did Furia, after their big points, swoop in and take away first? Stick around.
0 versus... They're not. My BR Demons versus Tripods. They're going in, Zephyr.
Tripods here with already 2 knocks to work with. They'll make it 1 more on the interior of the 2nd floor. I think it's all said and done, Tiffany. Reeds is stuck. There's nowhere to go in that zone. It's going to hurt a whole lot harder than Tripods.
Nick Merckx throwing the damage, but it's going to be someone else who deals the finishing blow, and Tripods are your map 4 winners. The game number 1 on...
There they go. Just like that. Aim assist about to go down, though.
No, it's not over yet. 2 players left.
Dang, Shiny putting in some work there for the team. And it does look like OXG got one back up.
This is the craziest end game I've ever seen, that we still have 3 teams left and no team is fully committing to the other one. And here we go with some actual commitment. There's going to be someone that dies right now, and it is Complexity. So it is aim assist versus OXG for a very unlikely end game finish.
The
2-11 and the swing to clean it up. Aim assist with the game 5 win. Aim assist were in the best spot to win that game, but they almost didn't.
I thought...
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Oversight Week 5 Finals. $5,000 on the line, and we've only got 2 games remaining on Stormpoint to see who's going to emerge victorious. I'm SpiderTip, that's Zephyr, and we've had the pleasure of bringing you all the action here tonight alongside some incredibly talented observers who are not letting us miss any bit of the action. But we just had a massive win for the Tripods there.
Yeah, one that is definitely always well warranted, but definitely surprising to see. We talk about a lot of these other squads, but we never really give Tripods their due. So a happy win on our first match of Stormpoint. 2 more to go here. Let's take a look and see how everything has fared now as a result. My big question was, where's Furia? It's at the tippity top.
It is. Look at that, by 2 points over MPS, with TSM rounding out the top 3 with 35 points. And you can just see how close it is, right? Fury only 1 more kill and 1 more placement point over MPS. So that is an incredibly tight race that we will be looking at during the final 2 games. But I'm looking for the teams that maybe find themselves outside that top 3, but have the ability to put down a banger game and find themselves in the contention. That's going to be the Guard, 5 points outside of TSM, and Esports Arena and Space Station, BR Demons, Tripods, all look at the top 9.
I know. It literally goes all the way down. Luminosity, even with a confident finish, easily takes one of those slots away here, and that extends, I would say, even down towards Sentinels and 100 Thieves. Now, granted, gaps, though, are beginning to form. A 12-point difference between TSM and MPS, and then obviously the 14-point difference between them and Furia is something. Right, and with 1 more good game for either of those 2 squads, they could truly be securing their position on the leaderboard for the rest of the night. So we have to keep a keen eye here.
Yeah, and it's something to note that teams that place on the outskirts of the top 10 will be relegated to next week's qualifiers. So that's something to think about if you're on that bubble, whether you're in, like, you know, 8th through 13th, something to think about if you find yourself all the way kind of south of like 19. I thought Xset way on the outskirts, CLG as well. You're going to have to step up, find some points, and get inside that top 10. You got 2 games to do it. But now let's go ahead and check out this TSM zone, because you know it's going to favor the wall very nicely. Deep
into the wall in that POY. There is a slight chance we do see it kind of ebb and flow out there towards the west with some of those kind of no-name buildings outside of the wall. That is a potential setup here, but that's definitely going to come down to what we see out of our second zone read. But I'll tell you what, Tiffany, you're more than right. It is the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop that rises to the top for TSM here this game.
Why did I feel like you were about to like be like some heavy metal band singer right there?
Close.
I thought you were about to drop like a verse on me, but as we see our teams drop into this beautiful map of Storm Point that Zephyr so kindly called like a nice vacation in the sun, that hotspot is going to be down beast. So I believe that's aim assist landing over there, who's going to find the fruits of that. But I'd be curious to hear maybe more on that Tripods VESA contention that happens over in Cenote Cave. You know, Tripods won that initial bout, and ESA kind of it didn't look like the typical ESA. Now, granted, yes, Capra's not playing, Cody stepping in alongside them, but they have already been strong here on the early World's Edge games. So that was kind of just out of the norm completely for me.
Yeah, I truly believe when it came to this initial excursion that we saw in Game 4, ESA, I mean, they had the left foot on the right shoe and the right shoe on the left foot, right? And now, hopefully, we've all gone to school and we know which feet we like, I suppose. I don't know.
You know, I don't know either. Sometimes I don't even know how to tie my shoes. Sometimes I just don't wear shoes because I don't really leave my house.
Oh my God, I
just
can't
chill.
tie my shoes.
Really?
Fun fact.
Zephyr, we're gonna have to get you some of those like grandpa shoes that have like the Velcro, so you can just Velcro them together.
What do you think I wear?
Please tell me you don't wear those.
Zephyr definitely uses Velcro and slip-ons all the time.
Well, dang it, y'all in chat, you got the inside scoop onto Zephyr's style there. Now we just need to get him onto a land so we can check out his Velcro shoes. But this is kind of interesting. Tripod's actually disengaged from the POI, but it's ESA who's kind of the pursuers now. They've got 2 blue shields, that purple for Cody. They have some decent loot. They're feeling confident, and now they're the aggressors.
I'll tell you what, for ESA, big wins in terms of their Evo sustainment here, and it's something that's going to allow them, yes, in these moments, to have all of their eggs in a row, their ducks in a basket, a completely incorrect analogy. Still, though, for ESA, no drops, no big damage, and some time for Tripods to recover. For now, this move from Luda and the rest might be all said and done. Yes, we will see Luda fall in response, but with those micro drones and this quick swing, ESA get their recovery and take it 2v1.
I mean, but it's Jet gonna be the last one standing, and just like that, Tripod's eliminated. Sure, a rogue frag grenade yeeted Luda into oblivion, but they're gonna get a nice clean reset. But it's gonna be Xset and the guard just on the outskirts of Cascades getting a little feisty.
Xset here moving forward can take away this position, and you can see how quickly the guard are running away. Double scan secured here. Sykes continuing to chase this one out. A quick break, a quick line of sight, and we know that's all that Xset need. A break onto Crypto, and that team is on fire. A swing to potentially get the jump on Sykes. Actually successfully works for just a moment, but Fun is there to save the day. Keon down.
Yeah, but if Rambo's still up, that long-haired charge rifle and menace you typically see is still out and about. You know that roller is absolutely frying. Dude, one of my friends started playing Apex the other day, Zephyr, and she picked up the roller for the first time, and now my call is just roller them. Just get in there and roller them. Close your distance. Get in on the fight.
I'll tell you what, it's something that Xset know how to do very well there. They close the distance, they settle the fight, and that's all said and done for the guard. And I'll tell you what, we talk about unusual performances and some questions across the night. Hey, the guard are doing well here, but we haven't really sung their praises, you know, about these absurd wins or big score games. They've just kind of been consistently playing well all night long. Decent scorings, 30 points right now, 4th place overall, but this is definitely going to be a huge dent in tonight.
Here we see Complexity in the wild trying to find the perfect position for that interceptor pylon. It looks like Shiny is quite pleased with that drop location. We'll check in with them later and see how they fare.
Oh my gosh, IMC Armory immediately with the rotation out, not even caught here. BR Demons really unable to prevent that, and it is surprising. They had Vayne, they had him with the utilization of that potential grav lift to kind of stop this, and instead now they get gate kept by the bots.
Interesting. As the bots lie in wait, here we see a wild bot squad made up of JQ, Stompez, and Jaloan as they gatekeep the gatekeepers initially. So let's check in with them later. I'm sorry. I know, Zephyr, you're the weatherman.
Yeah,
you're the one that checks in and just a little reporter action. I'm so proud of you, but it just felt fun for a second. I had to try it out.
Oh, it's okay. You know what? Everyone can take their own try, I guess. It's really not too complicated. Even you guys in chat, send us your best clips at #Oversight on Twitter. Cast the game. I don't know.
Honestly, that would be pretty cool.
I'd love to highlight
seriously.
some like 4 fun casters, you know, end of the night. That'd be fun.
That would be fun because, I mean, we're getting the ability for private matches for all, essentially. We should see an uptick in fun little moments. And I think that if you want to be a caster, you even said it on Twitter, show us what you've got. So you in chat, too, can be a caster.
Show us what you got.
Cue the Rick and Morty sidelines. Well, TSM at the wall. Show us what you got. You've got a zone that's going to be in your favor. Dark Zero kind of setting up shop just 80 meters north of Howl's location.
Oh, my gosh, here for TSM. Little bit of a shot, little bit of a poke and dance. It's not much, though. It's the rain and what could be hail. It's going to be a recovery for them for now. And back to the rest of the team. I'm actually more interested in this. 100 Thieves right on top of what I believe is Karasuno. Onmu on the drop. Quickly punished, has to be super careful. A response on the way, but Fearless finds it on the Vaxel on a 2v2 situation. And I'll tell you what, Karasuno, they look way more healthy.
I mean, yeah, even in this, like, with Wave being down, I mean, you had the punches coming out from the 100 Thieves crypto, and now Fearless catching them from behind, just trying to play it really smooth. Saucer at this point could hit a med kit and chill and still find that clean. But Fearless trying to make his way up the steps of glory, clearing out their path, trying to put the fists down, but getting punished from the back as well. So there is a team in the nearby vicinity, so you're going to have to clean this up and get a clean reset.
I'll tell you what, they finished the job. It maybe wasn't as quick as we had liked, but it is a win nonetheless. Sadly, they do lose out on one, and that respawn beacon over there on the side is currently in what looks to be the sight lines of many, many squads here. We finally get to take a look at the zone. It's not a wall pull. It is the pull on the northern end up above wall. We get this ending here where you see a majority for teams already set up, notably Furia, Karasuno, Complexity, and Dark Zero.
Bro, Fearless hitting the beacon, trying to get the last member of the team, and all I see is his Watson just sliding down the hill towards the egg building. So you know when Beast of the Hunt is activated, Watson with the Prowler in hand and a Digi threat, this is going to be so hard to navigate because Furia is feeling confident.
Oh, confident? I don't even think you have to be confident to do that one. Sorcerer doesn't even look behind him, and he gets taken out here. Now, I'll tell you what, Zera is down, but that's not before they continue to find knocks where it counts. But as you've made mention of, so many teams in the area, so many squads, and EMP ringing true. Furia with a rolling thunder down. This is a latch potential opportunity to prevent these teams from walking in. Zera might be able to get a crawl, some space in, but instead, they got to pull this off against Complexity.
Yeah, Complexity, all 3 up. Fury, a reminder, still had 1 member of the team down, and a Mastiff to the face. Don't even try to come upstairs, but trying to yeet above, utilizing the jetpacks to avoid the Arc Star, but it's not going to be enough. Monsoon gonna fall, and Lux just trying to deal so much damage, and Furia going to fall.
I'll tell you what, that's all said and done for Furia, but the fight, they don't end. The party just keeps pumping here. Sentinels now into literally a deja vu position and to find that next knock onto Shiny. Now, thankfully, Complexity, they saw this one. They literally caused it to happen. They're on their own escape down the hill, and why not? Add one more. Let's get Luminosity in here. Why not?
Bro, Luminosity looking like Furia Q 30 plus seconds ago, and if you've got Yanya and Yaguares on the hunt, this is going to be feisty. Look at him coming down the stairs of death, trying to find Sentinel, and they do. 3 shields will be cracked. Karasuno off screen, going to fall as well. Neasel down, so a 2v2 situation.
Oh, but I'll tell you what, Yanya with that movement with the jetpack, it's a little bit of damage back, but that knockdown shield is just too hard to strike here. Looks like they are able to find at least a recovery on that second floor. Meanwhile, on the outside, you've got fighting on every inch of what seems to be this area.
I mean, look, Sykes has got an RE45 in his hand somewhere. Bots eliminated. LG able to get a reset onto Nizel. But now the question is, will there be another one, Zephyr? Is someone else going to yeet your way towards this pineapple that Luminosity is sharing alongside 2 members of Sentinel? And 2 members of Complexity have found themselves on the outskirts, and the other one with Dark Zero just kind of being able to poke and prod, biding their time. We saw this happen in map number 4. They found themselves in the top 5, played very well, but Oxygen in a little bit of an engagement with Space Station off screen.
I'll tell you what, school's out. I think these teams have learned their lesson. We see a complete lull in the pace of that action there. Almost everyone completely decimated, and I'll tell you what, there's not much left to go. Now, granted, Dark Zero, they rotate back towards southern angles here. They understand that if that fight's going to happen, it's going to complete in its own right. They need to cover these rotations out of wall. That's going to have more impact on what they currently hold.
That's so, I love Bangalore just for the passive. That double time is so clean if you need to get out of dodge in just a second. Even if it's just to yeet yourself behind cover so you can heal, it is great. And now that I think about it, with Hal on TSM playing Bangalore, and he tends to kind of, I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it. He overextends sometimes, and I feel like that double time passive, if he gets poked and prodded, is going to yeet him back into with his teammates, and I like that move on him. I do. I really do like a Hal Bangalore.
You know what? I like Hal anywhere. You can visit me anytime. I'll tell you what, though. There's so many other squads we haven't talked about. All right? ESA, MPS, teams out of here towards the east like Oxygen and what looks to be BR Demons in the crack there. What is there to go?
This is a weird positioning. I mean, you've got TSM on triple blue this late into the game, which is kind of unique for me, but they haven't really found any meaningful engagements because they are just outside their drop spot POI, so they haven't had a chance to fight. But Gravlift coming out, they're making the moves onto Dark Zero, but they're gonna have to climb their way over. They didn't get up high enough.
Hey, the Gravlift can only carry you so far, and it looks like only 1 member of TSM actually get up here. Let's tune into Dark Zero to see if they've got any opinions on what lies below.
Covering me. But they're trying to queue up to me, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we just fucking chow them on the lift. They can't really. They're not stacked right now. One's off angling to the south. He's over here. Somewhere. Yep, he's there. Right here. Blue armor bang. They're grouped up, I think. One guy's here. 2 of them are grouped up on the right side. I think they're trying to find a way to climb up.
Bang, bang.
Well, it looks like it wasn't fruitful. No particular push up into the skies, the heavens in which Dark Zero reside here. Meanwhile, it does look like on the other sides of our circle, Luminosity does finally pick off, and it sends that early fight that we saw for such an extended period. Congratulations to Luminosity for getting the job done. It felt like that was an ancient skirmish at this point.
I am so nervous for TSM right now because they are going to turn their focus onto this member of Xset right here. That's going to be fun. And he yeets up the name. Bye. I feel like I just watched a Finding Nemo episode. He's just going to go off to find his family. Enjoy the lobby. Hope you find your dad. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I don't know. But that puts so much attention to that side where Dark Zero was just lying in wait. And Zephyr and I were kind of talking during that listen, and we're like, bro, and Burton's sitting here with an RE45 just waiting for them to even show just their hairline over that hill.
Well, we'll see what lies in wait as they are going to be forced to start climbing the hill, start potentially even crawling if necessary. Oxygen with their own level of control here out towards that northern side. BR Demons, who we talked about, out towards the cave edge, pinned and actually taken out in part by Luminosity. This squad, as pressured as they were on the north side of this zone, are continuing to find knock after knock. Even if they don't survive much in terms of their placement, I bet their KP is going to look real juicy after this game.
I kind of like this position. This was the initial position where you saw Complexity making their early rotation, putting down the interceptor pylon, and you can see that was their boxes that Oxygen was just casually pilfering through, but they're making their rotation onto that other side of the ring, which means I believe they're going to come from behind a lot of the teams that have already made their way into the zone, so that should be an interesting push. But let's check in with ESA as we have 9 squads remaining, and Phony just finding some nice opening damage before sliding down the hill, and that mobile shield, so nice for the Newcastle, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They were able to get out with their life, but oh man, a lot of attention is going to be drawn. Yeah, it did everything that it needed to do.
MPS are allowed to survive. Now, notice they don't have Madness to work with here. They're down to a duo, and obviously pulling for revives this late is basically non-existent potentially. Aim assist. Interior of wall, another squad with rotations ahead. They've got a nice sight line on, I assume, what is only Dark Zero on their height, the very cusp of our Storm Point map here. Still, 16 seconds to go, and this is where we see the slaughter.
We were talking about whether or not we'd see Ash, but it looks like Designful is going to be the one that plays on Ash. I know Sentinels during ALGS split, they were kind of dabbling with some Ash plays on Storm Point, but it's Designful on Amos is going to make some happen. And Hal going to fall. So now Verholst and Reps are going to have to fend off the Amos's roster.
Hal down here, but a redeploy from behind. Surprisingly, Amos's, they know that what's more important is zone. They're going to be able to set themselves up with this portal, reloco with that Ash phase, breach, turn right round, and find that next knock. It actually is handed over to Dark Zero, primarily with their drop, but it still is an elimination for TSM, down in 9th.
I mean, that was all like Dark Zero was waiting for at that point in time. So the fact they were able to capitalize and grab some KP from it was nice. But it's going to be E8 on your screen. Slurp with a sliver of health going to fall. Now Presley last alive, forced to make something happen or rat it out. But says, Watson, you don't have any movement. You just got some happy fences and a dream.
Hey, you know what? It's going to be something that may give them defense, might last a bit longer. Aim assists go down. ESA, surprisingly, as well as they're forced to run this one right up against Oxygen. They turn their attention back down towards the south as Luminosity picks up a final kill onto Monsoon to wipe Complexity. Our final 5 squads. Only 13 players remaining. It's likely it's 4 full 3 and 1 Wrath.
I feel like Oxygen, yeah, I feel like Oxygen needs to clear their right side, because if they go to rotate in, the team on the right is just going to kind of punish them as they see a charge rifle on the outskirts as well. So this is going to be a really challenging rotation for them. And I believe Luminosity might be the one kind of charge rifling over to them. Or,
yes.
So that's, yeah, there it is. Thank you so much, observers. Look at you, making me sound smart.
Tiff, you don't need the observers to sound smart.
Oh God, I love those observers though. When they cut to
That's true.
and they answer your questions immediately, and when they're in sync, ooh, we love good observers, man.
Hey, everyone in chat, take the time to thank the observers here tonight. They work their butts off to bring you all of the action and the chaos that they really have to decipher here on Oversight. It is a thankless job, and they're going to continue representing the best they can here. Luminosity, this is the squad, though, that I want to talk about right now. Heavy position. They've got these dome buildings in their current hold. I'm curious about Dark Zero, though, right up against them.
Ooh, Hill. Oh, come on, Hill, just get out of there. E8 going to fall as enemy deals the final blow to them. Able to grab a red shield, so that's going to be nice, but that ring is going to be at your back. And if you've got MPS taking on Dark Zero to your left, maybe they'll be occupied enough and Oxygen can kind of get a nice reset and skirt their way into the next zone. But you got PvPX throwing out the exhibit and looking for all of the chaos.
Shooby Tooby, the first to fall here. MPS picked off as well. That leaves Dark Zero, Luminosity, and Oxygen pinned right against the castle wall. Hill and Crook down already, and Dark Zero, yes, healthy, but already above. You can tell Luminosity trying to take angles. I think Dark Zero, they successfully recover. It might be that dirty 3v3, that straight arenas match, and potentially enemy who can throw a wrench into anyone's plans.
Look, enemy just needs to channel that optic, you know, just like pay attention, just chill, forget about them. Let Luminosity and Dark Zero fight and then maybe come in. But I mean, they're not forgetting about them. They are looking. They're like, hey, where are they? But they're getting poked and prodded. They're getting punished for looking for enemy.
The minute they try to swing out there to get an angle, it's an immediate punishment, not by enemy, but Luminosity on this height. Now, granted, let's talk about it. Dark Zero, furthest from the zone right now, forced to climb up. We'll get a nice wide rotation out on this angle here, but they're going to be in the face of Luminosity. It would be shocking to see them drop something right now. I don't want to say their game to lose because anything could happen, but they're definitely at the advantage. Oh, look at this.
Okay, Yanya, we see you swinging, and that's going to be all they wrote for Oxygen. So now it's going to be Dark Zero and Luminosity, and I feel as if the positioning that Luminosity has on the high ground, just on the skirts of Dark Zero, it's a lot better standing, and you got Niesel just looking for a solid angle to absolutely rip apart Dark Zero.
They're going to climb up, see if they can send it on to Niesel, but they've lost 2 already. Yanya, from behind, finishes the job that started here by Niesel. A fantastic win for the boys from Luminosity, and one that was grueling at that. I'll tell you what, Tiffany, it felt like this squad fought all game long.
Yeah, but their synergy, just the way they play, just it's so good to see, and just how they approach every 3v3 fight. It was only a matter of time before we witnessed them resurface to the top of the leaderboard. It's a shame that it was only here in map number 5, but maybe they'll double down and run it back. But as we look through a lot of our beautiful replays that were happening in this little staircase of death here, Zephyr, I felt like we were in this building for 5 minutes.
I mean, I think we were. I think we were here for quite some time between Furia and Sentinels and many more, Luminosity included. Everyone seemed to want their piece of the action, and for good reason. Luminosity were the final squad to hold on to that high ground building, the one that was in control at the very get-go, and they come out with this win. Beautifully done, I will say. Never let Dark Zero even take an inch, so how could they go a mile?
I don't know. I just love witnessing that last minute fight right there as we jump on over to the game 5 scoring. Luminosity with an absolute banger game, 24 points, 12 eliminations. But it's Oxygen finding themselves in the top 3 with 9 eliminations as well. And it's something to say about them. Typically, they played zone. They had Watson. They had, you know, the crypto. And they would play heavy zone, find their eliminations late game, but they've been more aggressive. And I feel like as they get their footing with that new legend composition, it's going to pay off. We're going to see more results like this.
Yeah. Oxygen with 16, Dark Zero with 15, rounding out your double digits in Esports Arena and MPS, both arriving again. One big notable, 14th place, Furia with only 1 point. They were holding on to a very, very short lead above the rest of the competition. Even if Luminosity doesn't position themselves above the rest, MPS here in ESA will be close. But there's only one thing that can answer that.
What is the one thing, Zephyr? I'm just waiting. Are we going to hear it?
I thought you can answer that.
No. Tell me the answer.
It's...
You were leading up to it so nicely, and I was just going to sit here and be like, what is the one thing, Zephyr? The one thing to rule them all.
You absolutely trolled me. Okay. It's the overall leaderboard, folks. When we come back from the break, we're going to be taking a look at them scores. Stick around. Stay tuned for that last game here on Oversight.
Around just on the skirts of Dark Zero, it's a lot better standing, and you got Niesel just looking for a solid angle to absolutely rip apart Dark Zero.
They're going to climb up, see if they can send it on to Niesel, but they've lost 2 already. Yanya, from behind, finishes the job that started here by Niesel. A fantastic win for the boys from Luminosity, and one that was grueling at that. I'll tell you what, Tiffany, it felt
Welcome back, everyone, to Oversight Week 5 Finals. It's Tiffany, it's Zephyr. We are here to cause some absolute chaos and bring you all the action. We are looming down the sights of game number 6. And at the end of this, we will find out who takes home the lion's share of the $5,000 and who will get relegated to the next week's qualifiers.
You know, that's not even a thing I have thought about. I've been so interested about the prize pool and the top competition that, yes, some of these teams will be diminished down to a position of qualifiers for our next week of Oversight. Most notably, our last week before we talk about our playoffs that will take place. But that's still a few weeks ahead here. We're having a lot of fun tonight, and obviously these teams hopefully are as well. But there's still such a competitive nature out there.
I mean, there is indeed. And honestly, let's go ahead and talk about that one thing that you had mentioned just before we took that quick break. You were alluding to the one thing that would give us all the things. It's the total leaderboard thus far after 5 games. MPS, mind you, I believe a free agent team still, so keep an eye out on them, has found themselves at the top of the leaderboard. 55 points. Luminosity in second after a massive map number 5 win. And Furia holding on in that tie, which they only had 1 point in map number 5, but they could come in and win it all here in game number 6.
Esports Arena TSM, round out your top 5, but I'm getting word we're ready to go. The game's underway. Our champ select is already done, and immediately one big thing. It was so close. X-Set Nocturnal almost picked out what was that catalyst. Everything else looking pretty standard. Design Fall on the Ash, I think, being the one notable.
I still, bro, Verholst with the blood, like, it's so interesting to see because he doesn't have, I will let him cook, but he has no movement. You put him on a movement character and make him play Valk for I don't know how long since he's been on TSM, and now you yeet the movement away. He's a peacock. You gotta let him fly.
All right. I don't know. You know, there's a whole wealth of experimentation that's taking place here, and who knows? This is just another composition, and it does and can work. Does it play to the strengths of TSM? I think we might both agree that no, this isn't stereotypically what we see, but after 18 games today for this roster, who knows what is going on behind the scenes? There's only one thing that can answer that. It's Raven.
Look, hear me out. New season, they get a little Wraithy rework potentially. I'm waiting. That's what I want in my life. A Path rework, a Wraith rework, you know, some love, right? And then I want to see Hal jump back onto Wraith and do Wraith things. That's what I want in my life. I gotta have it at least once.
All right, you know what? I can agree with you as far as that goes, but I'll tell you what, I mean, it's a soft aside here, but Season 16 is going to turn things on its head for Apex. A huge change in terms of, I guess, the champs and the legends and Verholst alone.
I mean, Verholst is a menace, but Karasuno, Wave out here finding some nice, clean wingman shots onto Verholst.
Where is...
Big E, what are you doing?
Where is... Hey... they swear to me, they drop, like, actually, like, the wall. So what happened? Who knows?
We need to go back in time and just take a little bit of the POV of Big E, see what's going on in his mind. He didn't have his movement. That goes to show you, he didn't have his movement or his little jetpacky wings to get out of dodge. He was just a lonely blood trying to fend for himself, but it's ESA. It's that tripods contest that we've seen through and through here on Stormpoint. Cody already down. Luda finds a nice shield swap, and Phony takes way too much damage.
Might be a deja vu situation last time around. Tripods pulled it out. Luda now with only 20 health to his name to try to survive. It's not a shield swap there on the ground. A quick wipe on both angles for Cody and Phony means that a shield swap has been secured here for the remnants, and now the bots are into fight as well, coming through the third party. ESA is picked off, and the tripods might go out as well.
Very interesting. If I'm tripods, I'm trying to get out. You can just see the Valk trying to fly each and every way behind cover, but the bots are going to find some significant damage, not able to heal up. You know this is just them running, and you're going to get decimated if you're going to run and show the bots your back. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, Zephyr. I saw what chat said. They said that Verholst was looking to grab Beacon by himself and potentially that. But hey, you never know. Can you believe chat in this instance? Can you?
I believe chat. Chat watches more Apex probably than
Chat doesn't lie, right? Chat doesn't lie.
Chat never lies. By the way, we soft aside, guys. We totally do read it like all game long. Like we're sitting here typing and like, oh, you guys are so quirky and funny. Like we're totally reading it.
Nah, there's some cuties in chat. We know that. We know that. We stand all the people who support all of us, all of the work, all the broadcasts, all the players, everyone that supports competitive Apex. We love you.
Word from chat, Big E is alive. Big E is alive. I'm hearing it here and now. We'll have to check in with TSM a little bit later on. For now, Dark Zero at the downed beast. They've got that rolling thunder that prevents them from moving forward for now, but that exhibit down? Not quite yet. Just teasing it here.
I like that. Make sure you don't waste it. You want to make sure they're really pushing in before you utilize that, because anyone can stand on the outskirts of an exhibit and make you burn it, right? So that is going to be, because they feel like, yo, I don't want to push this, but holding the high ground at down beast, here comes the res, and you can just see lying in wait. Can we get some shots? No, but that's okay.
Hey, tough as it is there, no shots are found, but that doesn't mean we're going to see major revivals here for aim assist. Still, on top of it, and there it is. Thank you, observers. Big E.
Woo!
I'm ecstatic. The man, he's enormous. It's an incredible resurgence of faith here for the TSM roster. 19 other teams lay ahead of them here. I'll remind everyone in chat, TSM, 38 points, tied up against ESA, who just fell in 4th in their own right in the overall. It's the perfect opportunity for them to swoop in.
Find themselves in the money. They just need to make top 4. They're already preventing themselves from getting relegated to the qualifiers, but it's BR Demons and Tripods that find themselves in 9th and 10th place coming into game number 6, which need to keep an eye out. But the guard, who's in 8th, in a little bit of a skirmish, not trying to go out just yet, but Keon on horizon, not gonna give him a little bit more of movement, but Rambo, who typically plays Valk on Blood, interesting, not able to finesse their way back, just running, yeeting, Beast of the Hunt active, super speed, but BR Demons were waiting for them to come back.
It's a drop onto Keon and potentially 2 more here for the BR Demons. A full wipe as well for a reset. Vayne takes damage though almost immediately here from MPS is what it feels like. This is going to allow RKN and Rambo to at least find their way towards some sort of stability, as now BR Demons, they turn right, rhyme, reason around here back towards this IMC army. This is deja vu. We've seen this one before.
I just hear a nearby skyward dive in the distance. Wow, that actually sounded a lot closer than it really was, but BR Demons just on the top of this IMC armory, vibing, living, collecting some information.
Hey, you know, they're thriving. I'd love to take a look at the zone when we get a chance. It has been a hot minute here in between our round 1 closing. It looks like it is a down beast close from my current interpretation, but I'd like to confirm it when we get the chance.
Ooh, complexity. Building some geometry shapes inside that building on the outskirts and the inskirts, and 100 Thieves is like, what is going on? You know, I really wonder what Vaxlon is thinking right now. I saw like a YouTube video of like 100 Thieves and like Vaxlon in particular, and just some of the their comms are my favorite things to listen to. Like, they are hilarious. And if you guys don't watch any of the 100 Thieves boys, please go run now. They are so funny.
Well, maybe we'll get the chance to listen into them this game here. Something that we gotta take notice of is the fact that BR Demons are down and dead. That is all said and done. Didn't quite get to catch how they found their way to their grave here, but it looks like the guard get their recoveries off. A full revival here on to Keon as well. He just got his items back up, and I mean, they're even picking off the bots as well.
I mean, bro, can we get some light? Can we get some light for RKN, I believe? 3 bullets in a dream, just a little bit of light. Ping him some light. Anyone? Anyone? Bruh, they need something. I mean, there's a crafter nearby, so I mean, if you got, you got enough materials to at least craft some. Look, I like to loot my ammo from the death boxes of my enemies who look at me weird, and I'm sure that they're the same.
If I could kill my enemies, I'd say the same. I like to loot for 18 minutes and then get killed by a squad who's better than me.
Why are you speaking pubs into existence?
Well, no, pubs, the game ends in round 1. Let's not even. I got killed by a squad who killed 14 other teams by the time I took a breath. That's pubs for you.
TSM hitting the replicator, trying to get at least 6 bats and making sure they're kitted, but it's LG and tripods that are on the outskirts over here, just living their best life inside the ring, but they don't have too far to go. 4 syringes, 2 medkits, so no worries there. They have a plethora of heals.
I am worried slow rotations like this on south side, especially when it's not in favor of a god spot. They have heavy rotations ahead. It's going to lead them into situations where they might match up against teams like the guard if they don't quickly rotate. And obviously, that you've made mention, they've got the resources to spare, but this kind of positioning, especially in this particular zone, it can be capitalized on, especially when, look at this, from behind. SSG and tripods still in barometer, likely to make very similar rotations if you're not careful.
Look, I've seen a lot of dropped lately. I've been keeping my eye on him because it's something that I want. Like when I watch streamers, I listen to the way that they speak and they communicate to their team and how they navigate through intense situations and how their leadership stands. But dropped has been really interesting. So I've been enjoying watching the space station crew, and I like that they're rotating in behind them, but they're potentially going to run out of resources before they can get in, and tripods fully eliminated, and TSM in the Rari dead. In the Rari. I mean, look, that was not very fast and the furious of them.
I don't get it. Why? Why? Explain. I don't know.
I don't have an explanation for that. I would only have to refer to my book of howling what exactly went down there.
Okay. It's silly mistakes, you know? It's not like you like a mistake would be, oh, whoops, I couldn't get the Evo off, bad macro play, right?
Yeah.
This is like rule number 1. And you know what? They pay the price.
Look, to be fair, I'm sure there was some good thought behind it, but the execution might have not panned out per se. Look, I'm trying to throw them a bone here, and meanwhile, I see a Rolling Thunder incoming on the Luminosity, and the guard fight, and Keon takes to the sky, throws out the black hole, double downs with an Arc Star, and navigates the intense smoke while getting absolutely stunned up by the Rolling Thunder.
Stopped in their tracks for now with the Digisight able to see across here in the smoke. Keon taking angles of his own as they begin to slide down potentially in that cave. It's big damage, but not before Jaguares finds a response. We talked about these two teams meeting, providing strikes towards one another, and it looks like Luminosity are still on fire after their recent win.
Bye-bye, Keon. Now, the guard relegated to a 2-man.
Wow.
Luminosity trying to finish them off, and look at that. They are just smelling blood in the water, and the chase is on because they have to go that way anyways because the zone is pulling through the mill.
They've got time to spare. They don't need to do this here, but these big wipes means it's likely all said and done here for the guard. I was about to say, that is the down member. They are just thirsting Rambo there. Arkean makes it to mill, but I mean, in terms of late game recovery, I mean, we have seen it. I'm not going to count it out, but it is
Nothing
difficult.
is impossible. We saw it happen in Cascades, but this is not a Cascades ending. It's relatively open. There's so many teams here. I mean, there's one beacon over south of Checkpoint where Furia is kind of looming. I don't think there's enough time to make your way over there, per se.
No. one up here as well. We did get to take a look at zone. I will discuss it very quickly. Heavy pull outside of Down Beast towards the far west side. Sentinels and now Complexity hugging this particular platform. This is typically where we like to see squads play in their end games. Playing out of the Down Beast can be particularly difficult. It can be really, really rough for teams all kind of collapsing at the same time. Notably, though, Complexity give this spot up, and they lose out on Shiny and potentially more.
Man, justice for Shiny. But Monsoon and Lux gonna have to clutch it out. 15 squads remaining, and with players dropping, relegating teams to a member of 2, it's gonna be really interesting. Oxygen taking on Dropped and Co. Yeah, they got 1 down. That's gonna be on Frex. Now Crook still relatively healthy, able to throw out a nice arc star and do the swing. And is a trade there to help it? Yeah, Drop's gonna be down. Now they should just be cleaning this up.
Very nice here from Oxygen. A quick shield swap there. It's going to be a response, a healthy one at that, to put Hill and enemy on their back foot. Maybe even potentially a drop onto Crook, but even he can't pin it in the end. Meanwhile, it does look like that Luminosity track down Hunt and finish off the guard as well here in the heart of Millen, now likely to defend against Oxygen on their next rotation forward.
Well, this is getting interesting, man. I mean, this is game number 6. Furia was just on the outskirts of the leaderboard, finding themselves. They want to be on the top, and CLG, you know, look, I think that is where I see a lot of success if we're going to have a zone pool towards where CLG is. Per se, that building typically finds a lot more success if you can anchor it down. Typically, a team that holds that will have a Crypto and a Watson to find some success, but I mean, that doesn't really allege to the composition that we've seen from CLG.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they maybe find their success down towards the south side. Luminosity and Oxygen, I like this. They both carry themselves forward, but Oxygen actually presents themselves on height much quicker than Luminosity, potentially for a response here. Missiles back. I mean, there's still all the time in the world. I will give one slight advantage over to Luminosity. We know there are teams coming out of checkpoint.
Yes.
And technically, Oxygen are in the prime position to get beamed from behind. You can already see it. Charge rifle already kind of starting to tickle.
Yeah, I mean, Luminosity does have the shield advantage technically as well. Furia is that team that's looking to sandwich, and if Furia finds that it's going to be a smart move to go ahead and down south before going into the zone, they will do so. They are not afraid of making that happen. We know just how strong Luminosity is in managing those isolated 3v3 fights, but you also do have E8 just to the left side, so it's going to draw a lot of attention if they decide. But Oxygen looks to be trying to flank Luminosity as they close the distance.
Ooh, Luminosity here down with the smokes. We know they've got those digis to potentially provide a response, but Juarez is caught out just as quickly, forced to pull back. Edge of zone here. A nice swing from Measle. At least finds a knock onto Hill, but you can already see how many other squads are providing damage of their own. Oxygen, Nox, LG, Nox, a 1v1 situation, but likely X-Set and 100 Thieves to clean it up.
Look, that was so tough because LG is going to go out now, honestly. There it is, Scurry with the final bout. Now 100 Thieves finding some well-needed KP, but CLG off-screen going out in their building to X-Set, but it's going to be MPS moving in for some action.
MPS running forward here, right into the face of Castle Wall, looking for a potential shield swap there. Madness down, Pow Pow, and just a tick of health. Shooby Tooby looking for angles on the outside of the mobile shield. Now that it's down, running for the hills. One more bullet will do them in as X-Set does fall. It's too late. There's nothing for them to do, nothing to survive, and now Furia looking to third party this fight.
What is happening? 8 squads remaining. Furia making their way known, finding that knock and full onto Onmu himself. Now you can see the scans for hostiles, and oh, man, they're just gonna push straight forward. It looks like aim assist is inside the next building that might be in Wake, but Furia is gonna go ahead and bypass that and go straight for Complexity and Co.
I don't know if Shooby Tooby. No, that's it.
Bye, Shooby.
Picked off like a bug. Pinned out from above. Furia on the outside. They weren't available to buy this real estate early, and you could already see how they are punished as a result. Funk with that first drop onto his Watson, potentially more.
Scurry getting into the mix as well, has an RE45 likely with a digi threat, so coming down and finding a knock into a full on Slayer, so a little bit of chaos here. The fact is, if they can get a reset onto his Watson right here without being punished for it, and they are able to get it off, Watson sure gonna get knocked again, but they're able to on the jump but to the other side of the building, but there's another team in wait.
Immediately they will fall here. Panders now may be able to stick that revive there. 100 Thieves picked off as well here on the other angles. I gotta tell you what, we talk about complexity, we talk about Funk and crew here, we talk about Furia. Sentinels still should be in God spot control, and that's who I'm really worried about.
Yeah, but like MPS still alive. They were your leaders coming into game number 6. Wait, they died? They died?
They're dead. They're dead. Shuby Tubi, remember?
Oh, that's right, man. Justice for Shuby. Justice for Shuby.
Justice for Shuby. Very, very close. It's going to be a really close final end here. Furia definitely in the position to take away first right now, though. I mean, they are the last remnant of this top 4 still alive, and I think that they need that win.
Oh, man. But, I mean, this could be a good showing here for Aim Assist as well. They came in through the qualifiers yesterday. Sure, Funk last standing here. Maybe able to get a res off onto Designful. They're going to hear it, so he wants to test the audio cue. I respect that. You know, Furia, they hear it. They were able to get the reset onto his Watson, and Lux trying to skirt away from the last man of complexity, and Dark Zero holding this ultimate high ground. They've been here for a bit, able to poke and prod and find a lot of eliminations for themselves throughout.
Woo.
Interesting.
Hey, high ground here allows you to survive, but this rotation, this final one in towards zone pull, super hard to play. This landing into the face of where Sentinels is and potentially beneath can be incredibly punishing. Furia, they get a revive up. They finish the job on a member ahead here. Aim Assist is eliminated, and now potentially Complexity as well, as Furia's his Watson runs right into his face.
Look, I mean, what are you going to do at that point? Complexity going to fall. Looks like Lux was witnessed, and Dark Zero here holding the fence, and Senox trying to find a cheeky angle if possible. Takes a lot of damage, and I just feel like Dark Zero is prolonging their life by playing this area, but they are going to have to go back up at some point. They're going to have to climb. They don't have a grab lift available to them.
No, it's tough here, but maybe they don't need to. Furia, even as late as it is, still trying to stick these revives. Sadly, pinned by Karasuno on the other side. It's just left to Panders to rat this one out, and he's got to be careful. Dark Zero on this other angle, they could just take him out at any given point.
Panders just chilling, looking for some placement points. They're so close into a good chunk of that prize pool. It's $5,000 on the line, and Karasuno in 17th place, looking to maybe eliminate some of these teams that might have a chance to move up in the leaderboard.
Ooh. Karasuno here on this other angle, able to pin Sentinels very well and push them back towards this grab lift as they've assumed so much of this zone here. I'm still curious. Darkseer with their potential climb at any given moment, and Furia Banners could just throw a wrench as well here. Who's going to be the first? Who's the catalyst in this chemistry equation?
Bruh, Panders living best Panders life down below. Like, hey, if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. And I genuinely believe that a lot of these... no! Well, that was a Bangalore. It's fine. Panders is the blood. You need to just live your best life. Keep going. Keep going.
All right. Do what you can do, bud.
Panders is alive and well. It's totally fine. 4 squads remaining, and Dark Zero has climbed their way to meet the masses. I believe they turned their attention on to Karasuno.
Back down almost immediately. Sharky will find that first knock, but it's not before PvPX faces the similar situation. It's all 3 squads contesting the same area, and I'll tell you what, it looks like Dark Zero on their climb will take the brunt of this damage. Jen Burton down to 1, Furia down to 1 here. They've got to combine forces to take out Sentinels who've been here from the beginning.
Ooh, Gemberton with the ring at the back, not necessarily able to finish it off, but there's an interceptor piling out that was actually healing him as well, but Panders lying in wait, finally able to show themselves in a 1v2 scenario. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be enough. Sentinels coming out on top here in game number 6.
Hey, At the end of the day, I tried to set this one up. It was just so much chaos. Go back in the VOD. Take a listen. We talked about it. Sentinels were there on western hold of that zone. And even though I give high credit to Dark Zero here in Karasuno for really trying to push the metal, there is a separate je ne sais quoi, a separate advantage to holding out that particular position in that zone pole there, and it's one that garners them their win.
As we look back on some of our moments that we witnessed here in game number 6, it was that fight in particular between Oxygen and Luminosity that opened the door to so much chaos and inting on that. But here, Karasuno looking for some cheeky angles, Sentinels trying to find some shots on a Dark Zero as well, but it was that climb up, the initial bout with Karasuno. They lost PvPX on initial, and then Sentinels just doing what they can do. Panders is like, hey, this is my time to climb up, but took too much damage, just couldn't take on 2 members of Sentinels at that moment in time, but well ratted out for a second place. Or third.
While yes,
no,
they finished second placement, they only net themselves 3 KP and finished with 12 points. It's Dark Zero in third, who had 8 overall, the highest in this game, actually, with 15 themselves. And it's only Sentinels who usurp due to their win with 18 as well. We round out our top 5 with 100 Thieves and Karasuno, both respectively. Never really got to check in with 100 Thieves too well here. But I'll tell you what, my big question is, were Furia able to do it? We've been talking about them, obviously, all night long, right? And just to kind of note here, obviously, MPS, Luminosity Gaming, Esports Arena, all had some rough starts coming off of the back end of that game 6. Luminosity was able to survive for quite some time, and they did reside, though, tied with Furia. So it's very, I guess in that regard, it's definitely something of a Furia potential win here. I don't do the math, especially not in situations like this. I could, but it's more exciting to wait.
It's true, and you're not a scriptwriter. We're not a scriptwriter. We're not mind readers. So let's go ahead and take a look at that final leaderboard. Who's getting the lion's share of the $5,000 prize again?
Wow.
Who is getting relegated? 1 point separates. Bro, that is what I'm saying. Panders ratting to that second place finish, getting as many placement points as possible is what just won this for them.
Had they not, it's simple. Had they not, we would not be talking about this in the same way. It would have been MPS to walk away with the win tonight. They only pin up 6 points coming out of that game. Even a 7th or 8th would have been enough to take this one away from Furia. So high praise to Furia in their darkest hour, their darkest days here against the world of North America, the best of the best. They win Oversight Week 5.
I mean, look, that's amazing. And then you saw some teams that are going to be relegated to qualifiers next week, Xset being one of them. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw the Guard in there as well.
Yeah, honestly, bigger names that have had success. And I'm going to be honest with a lot of folks here today. For some of these teams, it has been a day. Okay,
that's true.
It is 9 p.m. Central Time here for me, and for some of these squads, it has been comp Apex all day long. And so even for teams like the Guard and Xset, who did have their struggles and their ebbs and flows, I mean, they were everywhere. Okay?
That's true. I mean, that's a good point. We cannot forget there were 12 games of international scrims that happened throughout the day, and TSM participated. All of these teams that are looking down the face of Split 1 playoffs participated. So congrats to them for throwing down in the competitive Apex scene and just going the distance, because that's a lot of games. But it's been an absolute joy to be here alongside of you, Zephyr, for Oversight Week 5 finals. And I don't know, I'm just grateful. It was a good way to kick off the year.
Yeah, first cast of the year for the two of us, and one of many more. If you guys are interested, obviously follow, like, subscribe, support Oversight and all the players, producers, casters, and anyone behind the scenes that is making this tournament happen. We, of course, will be back next week with, once again, another set of qualifiers hosted by the lovely Juka and Andrew, and then Tiffany, once again, with Vicky Kitty to round out our season, our regular season.
Yep, that's going to be all for us. Until next time. Woo.